All right, we're live. Welcome, everybody. We're here today for Tesla's Q1 earnings call. This specifically is a very important event. As typically Q1 is when we get the guidance for the rest of the year from the company. So this is what we're going to do today. Right now, we're going to start the pre-show. And in about half an hour, this is when Tesla will drop the financials deck. We'll take a look at that, tear it apart, and examine it, analyze it as soon as it drops. So that should drop in about 30 minutes from now. And then about an hour or 2 hours from now, that's when the Tesla official event happens. We will live stream that right here on this channel. And then afterwards, we will do a post-show analysis. So today, who we'll have here, we've got James from InvestAnswers, Finance and Stock Analysis. We got Larry Goldberg here, Business and Energy. We got Nick Gibbs for Investing and Stock Analysis. And then shortly, we'll also have Jeff Lutz, Alexander Mertz, and Søren Basher, and maybe Joe joining us as well. And everybody here, this is a power panel. Everybody here brings a lot of expertise and so forth. So let's start with the team that's here right now. What are you guys expecting? Let's start with you, Nick, because I've seen you have 2 posts in the last day or two saying that this is the most important event in recent history for Tesla, or some words I like that. Were you just hyping it up, or do you really believe this is a critically important event?
This is the most important earnings we've ever had to date. There's not been one more important than this one. So yeah, a little bit of that's hyperbole because the next one will be the most important one after this one.
Okay.
So, but I do think that this is a critical one. I think it's an exciting one. Is a better way to say it. We are at I think a moment in time where we see, to steal Cathie Wood's words, a convergence of things happening at the same time. And if we look more narrowly at Tesla, we have them expanding for the first time ever into 2 cities at once, not just one city, 2 cities at once, and doing so unsupervised at the same time that it appears Cybercab line is locked and loaded, ready to go. So everything's at kind of like this peak pressure point moment for what the future is going to be. And the fact that they did all this before the earnings call, I think it's exciting because hopefully it means that they'll open up the aperture a bit on what they're willing to discuss and give us some insights into how this plays out moving forward. So we know the Cybercab line is up and running. We know that they obviously have some confidence to roll out to new cities unsupervised out the gate, which last quarter they guided towards going to new cities, supervised first for 3 months, and then going to unsupervised. So things have changed, confidence has changed. And so I think this is just gonna be a very exciting earnings call.
Wow. Okay. You have a very good opinion there. James, what's your thoughts about everything?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
We're on the verge of a huge inflection point. Everything is set up, and it's great that Wall Street still doesn't realize it yet. And we'll go through some of the things that I think are just so profound right now. And what I've done as well in preparation for this, just to give the audience some red meat before we jump into the big stuff, is look at some comparative valuations and talk about seasonality of where we are for the stock right now. Yeah, there's the seasonality slide. You popped it up. You read my mind. So basically where we are at the point of time. April, every year, going back 10, 15 years, it's literally the low point for the year for the stock. So if you're feeling pain, but if you're buying leaps at $330 2 weeks ago, well done. The price at $390 now, not bad. Is it going to go back to all-time highs? Yes. Is it going to go back to all-time highs soon? Probably in the next 3 or 4 months. Not financial advice. That takes us to $499. But once the market starts seeing all of the goodness, and I'm talking maybe Optimus showcasing demo, maybe some excitement around SpaceX and people, we'll talk more about space too, because space is actually a big part of the story, not the merger or the acquisition. I'm going to make that very clear, but the actual leverage and synergy with space is huge. And then we'll look at some comparative valuations. So that's kind of where I am right now. I couldn't be happier. This is an extremely exciting time to be in the markets and to have such a glorious asset at our fingertips. That's so misunderstood, and I cannot stress that enough. It's like a dream come true.
That's a good setup for you in terms of stock, right? James, what do you think though? Like people are saying Q4 was a lot of hype, a lot of things were said, and a few things there did not happen. So the doubling every month of Robotaxi did not happen. Are you concerned about that?
No, not at all. So what happens is, and I heard this on an interview with Elon, or with one of Elon's, I think his investment analyst. He said basically point blank, what Elon tells the world is what he tells his team. And the way to decode that is to understand he sets impossible goals. So his team are kept under permanent, perpetual pressure to deliver. That's why the life cycle of an employee at Tesla is not very long. They get burnt out. We all get burnt out. And that's part of who he is. So he has one script for everybody. Whether you are a Wall Street analyst, an employee, or us, you hear the same thing. So he sets these impossible goals for people to stretch themselves. If he said, realistically, yeah, I think we can get a Cybercab production out by October 2026, and I can guarantee that with 99.9% certainty, that's what other kind of executives say. But Elon will push people to breaking point. And we've already seen things like the production of Cybercab ahead of timelines too, which is very positive. They're rolling around now in 19 cities per my model. I built a robotaxi tracker model, which is, that's up to 39 cities, which is crazy. That covers 175 million people. That was the goal, he said. I think the previous to last earnings call, he said, we will have half the population covered by the end of the year. That was his goal. That's the 39 cities. So he drops you the breadcrumbs 6 months ahead of time. And yeah, he missed, but it's all percolating under the surface. That is the magic. Anybody agree? Am I just a Tesla fanboy here? Larry.
Yeah. So it's, we had a brainstorm a couple of months ago, and the game was to depict when the robotaxi project would, be underway in full steam, and people would be riding in multiple cities and so on and so forth. And we guessed, the general consensus came out at, April. And we're not that far wrong, as James has kind of alluded to and outlined. But it almost doesn't matter, whether it's today or tomorrow or whether it's next month. Macht nicht. The big issue is, when will we start generating major income that we can report on the financials and show a margin, right? So, if one were to guess, one would think that by the end of this year, we would see, reportable revenue. And I don't think it's going to be a massive reportable revenue by the end of this year, but it's going to be significant. And by next year, I think we'll start seeing huge impacts on the bottom line, because the margins are just staggering at this point. I think they will leaven the margins down as the market expands, but I think we're going to see impacts early next year in at least the first quarter. So I'm pretty excited, and I'm absolutely aligned with James on the impact to the top line and to the share price in terms of timing. I think we're going to see a wake up amongst the analysts, and as that wake up occurs, it's going to sort of reverb into the institution. So I'm very encouraged by where we are. My only hope is that we get, Elon in a great mood, and that he's exuberant on the call. I think that makes for a huge impact on shareholders and analysts alike, by the way. Even analysts are impacted by Elon's mood, as I've tracked it over the years. So that's why. And as to expectations on the call, I have very low expectations in terms of actual results. I'm very relaxed. I'm very interested in capital expenditure plans, CapEx plans and CapEx amounts, and just some sense of where we are. And also, I want to hear some material numbers about the investment in the TerraFab. So those are my interests.
Well,
Yeah,
one thing that
yeah.
I've
Sorry.
noticed on the Q1 calls instead of the Q4 calls, this particular one, is that I find that after this particular call, that's when they actually do guidance. That's when they actually will tell you, here's how many cars we think we'll sell and other metrics. Do you guys see that as well, or do you think I'm hearing things?
To the extent it matters, I mean, maybe. I haven't noticed the pattern, but I don't know that it matters.
Yeah, a little bit of bad news as well, Larry, regarding one thing you said. You hope he's not tired or in a bad mood. I was up at 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and 4 a.m., and at the same time, Elon was tweeting, so he didn't sleep much last night, which has me.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with his mood. Sometimes his mood is great when he doesn't sleep, yeah?
Okay.
Jesus. Alexandra, geez, you have your fans out on force here. Oh my gosh. Welcome,
Yellow Queen.
Alexandra. I can't hear you. You're on mute. Jeez. Oh,
Microphone.
we can't hear you, Alexandra.
She's got the fit check.
Yeah, check. We can't
Still
hear
can't
you.
hear you.
You sound best this way,
That's
Alexander.
right. Yeah.
Larry.
This is what. Yeah. This is. We got it.
Larry.
Yeah,
Can't hear you.
Alexander takes me with
Nope.
a pinch of salt.
Can't hear you. All right, let's start with you, Jeff.
I like this. Just keep watching her like this. What's she gonna do next? What's next?
Oh my God.
Yep.
I just want to see her do something now. Hey, Jeff.
Jeff, how you doing?
Hey, everyone, how you doing?
Good.
Good, brother. Good to see you.
Happy earnings day.
Likewise. You celebrating with your family or what?
Celebrating with all my friends around me.
Nice. I love it.
There you go.
So
this is what is going on? What? I can't share anything here. Here, she's back.
Yeah.
Remove this. Put this up. Here's the earnings per share that's been estimated. Looks like that. Where are we now? Analyst concession is at 30 cents, 33 cents. And a couple of folks here, Matt and James Stevenson, 54 cents, 37 cents. Everyone else is below that.
And Kalshi and prediction markets are basically 80% chance they'll miss 33 cents. And they're normally right. But again, earnings don't matter a damn. This is at an inflection point like we covered earlier. It's like, I think as Jeff, you said, the minute earnings drop, they become history. And you move on to forward guidance. That's it. That's the whole story every single time.
Well,
So people shouldn't freak out.
Yep. We got you.
so who said something nasty? Was that Larry to start off with?
Yes, it lasted.
Larry,
She's here.
how was your hair? Come on, do something.
Comb your hair, Larry.
I've been working very hard on my hair, very hard. It doesn't seem to respond.
Do a better job. Anyway, here I am. And I put on the yellow glasses thanks to the comments. And we'll see if I put the red ones back on. Jeff, nice glasses too.
hey, yeah,
Love it.
I like yours.
Yeah, we're going crazy. A crazy old lady. Okay, doke. So what are we expecting? 30 cents? What cents?
If
Tell
it's not earnings, people are saying that these metrics, whether it's vehicle sales or earnings, not matter. What does matter then? What is the key milestone you're looking for, Alexandra?
more robotaxis in more cities.
Amen. Say it louder.
More robotaxis in more cities.
I would say that I want to hear Ashok Goswami say it, not Elon. If Ashok says it,
I want Vaibhav to speak really good English, explaining us CapEx at the moment in very clear language.
Yep.
Please hear
Herbert.
me, Vaibhav. I love you, but please.
Yeah. Herbert, what's with all this South African hate? Stop, leave Elon alone. We want to hear Elon say it too.
Oh, well, okay.
I immediately started looking at the comments. Like, what are they saying about Larry, or what are they saying about Elon?
Oh no, just because he said we don't want to hear from Elon, so South Africa.
In terms of number of
Elon's been
robotaxis.
tweeting about that lately. So
What is
Mhm.
this?
What's that?
What's this anti-immigrant stance now?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Ridiculous.
His comments
Right.
about number of robotaxis hasn't fanned out. We need to hear from the operations folks. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I would love to hear just like what happened. Like you said
Yeah.
this a quarter ago. Like just walk us
Yeah.
through it. Like obviously there's like good cogent reason. Can you just let us in on that? That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So
I think
now I
that's
have
where
a real
happened
question.
In what
I have a real
regard,
question.
Nick?
Why did Farzad pay you $50? What is that?
Me?
No, the chat.
Yeah, he did.
Oh.
Herbert, why are you laughing?
Herbert.
He always does
Because
this.
he got the $50.
Oh, he does. He always does.
No,
He ever
here's
pay
what he
you
said.
Why do you think he's laughing?
He said this.
50 bucks
Thank-
is, you know.
He says, thank you for always steering the discussion in the right direction. So happy to have a group whose wheelhouse is Tesla.
Okay.
Tell Farzad to drop the IPAs in the chat. He owes me. I've won every bet against him. We've only ever had one, and I refuse to ever do another one.
And did he pay? Did he pay?
It
That's
got
the point.
complicated. Shipping beer from Austin to Florida got really complicated. I told him, dude, just keep it. Just buy your son a share of Tesla, and we'll call it good. But so I just like to give him
You're
crap
so
now.
generous. You're so generous.
It's with his own
a
money.
share of Tesla for a
A beer?
how many beers were involved in here?
Well, he was going to send me a case of IPAs.
A case of IPAs.
I think
Wow.
at the time Tesla was like at $200 or something too.
Okay.
So
Yeah, we forgot those good days. Now we
So-
complain at 400.
One of the one of the questions that's going to be asked is number 7. Is that you? Can we
There
say
we go.
who
Now
that's
we're good.
from? What data are you seeing that is causing you to be more cautious with the robotaxi rollout, number of vehicles, number of unsupervised versus your Q4 earnings call guidance?
That's my question.
That was your question. It made it, dude. It made it.
good.
Why don't you explain to us why you asked it?
We upvoted.
Yeah, no, that's what Nick was just going through, which is you gave near-term guidance and you said something and something else happened that was meaningfully different. What did you see, and is it persistent? Is it pervasive, or is it behind us? I think that's the critical thing. The other thing I asked about, I'm surprised it didn't float up there, is why was energy 40% off consensus?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I think, again, Larry, I think energy is one of those things where you really want to stitch a couple of quarters together, or you want to look at a 12-month trailing view, because it's lumpy on production. It's lumpy definitely on interconnect and sell-in. But 40%, I mean, and the fact that it was meaningfully lower growth than the prior Q1, I mean, it's just a question and answer. Were you supply limited, demand limited, or a combination thereof? I think that would be critical to understand.
Do you guys have no credence at all to this theory that they took the
quiet.
megapacks and they used it for data centers, or they used it for other reasons?
Doesn't matter.
It's
too small.
Sold.
It's too small.
It's too small. I mean, somebody asked me about that. It was, they put 200 megapacks here. I'm like, that's 8 gigawatt hours. We have a 6 gigawatt hour disconnect, and they didn't buy that themselves. So anyway, it just, hey, guess what? If this quarter is 3 or 4 gigawatt higher than consensus, then we probably know a little bit of what happened. If it isn't, then just walk everybody through it.
I wouldn't be surprised if it has something to do with shipping, logistics. Everything happening with Iran has, like, when you affect one ship in any port, like whether you get into force majeure or just anything, like even if it's just sitting off port at anchor, it disrupts everything. And it's a crazy domino effect. So with the Strait of Hormuz shut, like, you can just imagine how much disruption that had. I'm not even saying that's the whole story, but I imagine it had a meaningful impact.
Well, for sure, there'll be a statement on this in the quarterly. So we'll see in the Q1 exactly what the reason is before he even comes to the meeting. So I think that the question may or may not be spurious.
And
Can I
just
just
on the
add
straight,
go ahead.
It's going
You
to be
go.
an issue, but you're typically not doing just in time for ocean. So they should have a couple of weeks of inventory. of that material, but it may be an issue now. I mean, it's a good point, but man, that was a big
It's a
miss.
big- yeah.
Yeah,
we'll-
but
we'll hear.
Jeff, I think the only rational explanation I could come up with was a large number of very large projects in flight. And so you've got a very large amount of work in progress. It's the only rational explanation. One factory could have been down for a month or two for I don't know, whatever. But it's hard to credit otherwise. Yeah.
Larry, can I say that back to you? So what you're posturing is that huge client requires so many megapacks, all that they're just stockpiling it right now until they can do delivery once it's all set, and then at that point it'll hit.
Delivery doesn't get them a sale. What gets them a sale is the switch on.
Yep.
Okay.
They can get some progress payments of, a relatively small amount of the total project upon delivery, but delivery doesn't get them paid. They have to be connected and switched on. So if they have 3 or 4 very large projects, which is perfectly normal, and they're all in flight, and usually all in flight rather than some of coming due and so on and so forth, and they have large deliveries to themselves, then it could be, and we know that one very large delivery was to SpaceX AI, or XAI at the time. So it's hard to tell, but that was my immediate assumption when I read it, and I haven't, I haven't raised that question online or anything, but Jeff is right that's the first question I would have asked. But on the other hand, I expect the Q1 will, the actual report, the company's report will give it to us.
Yeah. We are expecting it to drop maybe in 3 minutes, 5 minutes. Usually it's 3 to 5 minutes after the hour. So we're going to keep refreshing this. Share it with you as soon as it drops.
How's my mic volume? Sorry.
We can barely hear you, Jeff.
Yeah.
I will say though, with Jeff's question there too, though, I don't, as far as, like what changed, I don't necessarily think that it's a bad thing. I mean, the fact that they didn't hit those milestones, yet now we're launching in Dallas and Houston, starting off unsupervised. Like, to me, that says like something really good might have happened. That they were like, oh, screw what we were doing before with this idea of 3 months with supervised. Let's wait, see what 14.3 looks like or whatever it is, whatever the limiting factor, whatever it is they saw that made them excited. And now they're putting vehicles out there unsupervised. Like, I think it could be a really good reason why they missed the Q1.
I think that's right, Nick. And you have to couple that with the fact that they're entering production, that I think we've got first production underway. So I think that, the confluence of those events and the parking of very large numbers of Model Ys in some locations is all the indicators are pointing in the right direction.
All right. So all of us are waiting for that one same metric, which is just all of it, 100%. It's all about robotaxi rollout. That's what we're looking for, that guidance.
Well, that's the company, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where our future lies in the near term.
And I mean, he has given 2 precise metrics earlier, with this doubling. I mean, first with what the status end of year 2025 would have been, and now the doubling, and that's not happening. So I think we're sort of waiting for a correction of that and, making a point of where we are exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I will also add, if they do a spectacular Optimus showcase in Q2, like literally doing crazy things like playing the piano or stitching something, showing the hand dexterity and the brain, the AI, that would get attention. And the fact that they're shutting down their 2 flagship models to build Optimus in Fremont, California with 1 million units, I mean, That's huge signal right there.
Incredible
Many people are
signal.
ignoring. Yeah. So, and if we're trying to kill some time, Herbert, I do have a thought I'd like to share with the gang here. And this is like a 4-part story, so forgive me. I'm trying to weave together a picture just so people understand a few things. And I am a little bit against Alexandra and Larry here on this. First of all, the deal they
So you
structured with
stand no chance. Okay, just so
the deal they structure with XAI, because I now look at XAI, SpaceX, and Tesla all as one big synergistic bag of deliciousness. When you look at how they structure that deal with Cursor, it's very intelligent because that will give them a leg up on Anthropic. Enter Anthropic. Next slide, if you could, Herbert. This, okay. Anthropic's now valued at $830 billion. Call it $1 trillion between friends. They have no infrastructure whatsoever. So think about that for a second.
Exactly.
Right? You know, the Wall
right
Street
on target.
Wall Street's freaking out, wetting their panties over, you know, $2 trillion valuation for SpaceX. You know, they've got global internet, launching rockets, Starship, the most coherent compute on the planet. They own the energy for that compute. They have over 1 million H100 GPUs. They're planning data centers in space. And by the way, China have just entered that race as well today. We can get to that later if we have time.
Yeah.
And this is a mega moat. Now, I always go back to the fact that in the age of AGI, hardness is what matters. Moats matter. Moving electrons matter. They have the moat. Anthropic doesn't have a moat. Allegedly, they were hacked as well. So somebody got access to Mythos to be able to hack other companies. The hacking system, or the system that can identify vulnerabilities, has been hacked to identify vulnerabilities so the gangsters can go hack other things. The irony is also not lost to me on that one. So that's huge. And then, wait for it, this is the Anthropic versus Samsung valuation. Showed you hardness. Anthropic, again, 850 billion, Samsung 800 billion. But look at the revenue, 30 billion versus 230. And I know that people say, well, Anthropic is pure profit. No, they're burning a lot of money providing all those tokens, but they're also making a lot of money too. But I want you to look at that Anthropic valuation and put that in perspective with the value of XAI, which is part of SpaceX and the energy. Now, this is where the story gets a little bit different. And I'm going real fast because I want to get this across. Tesla valuation should be valued at 8.5 trillion conservatively based on the comp plan. So we'll call this a 2030 timeline. The most bull case I can calculate for SpaceX is 6.6 trillion at a 2 trillion valuation.
I think it dropped
3.3x. Okay. You want to come back to the story later then?
No, keep
yeah,
going.
but James, you're wrong.
I still need to download it.
Well, we'll get to my wrongness in a minute because
we're up
sharply.
by 1.3%.
Up sharply.
And now down. No, up.
1% isn't sharply. Not that exciting. But anyway, the point is, if you look at Tesla,
Now, I want to interrupt you because you're going to say that I'm wrong. So I'm going to interrupt you now.
Oh, no, not wrong. I just don't agree with your timeline.
It's definitively up.
Okay.
Not
So-
down.
You actually, so you may agree with Larry because I'm the only one so optimistic on the timeline.
Ooh, yes.
And I have good
100%.
reasons for it, but they are much more technical than fundamental.
Herbert, you get it?
Yeah, I got it. It's coming.
Let's see it.
Right.
How about we get to that later, James? We'll have a
Yeah,
big
exactly.
break.
It's a deeper conversation, but I just want to plant that seed for now.
2.5%.
397. Is that now high enough for you?
No, I want to see a lot higher, a lot north of 450.
You know, these
Where do
people
you
are
guys,
so
where do you guys
entitled.
want to go first? You want to go to Outlook first?
Just why don't you work your way through, and then I think we'll all be looking at it on our own to find Easter eggs.
Oh, the actual deck is out?
Yeah,
Yeah.
actual deck is
That's
out. I'm just going to go
fast today.
straight. Yeah, I'm
Damn,
going to go straight to the
I'm gonna-
Outlook. Here we go.
5 after.
Focus on maximum capacity utilization at our factories. The deliveries and deployments will be impacted by aggregate demand. for our
Holy
products.
shit! Free
What?
cash flow 1.4. I thought it was
Holy
negative.
moly.
We thought
that-
we know we will
Holy
manage
shit!
the
That's
business.
Mar-
most important.
So margin must be pretty good.
All right. How about 4% up? How does that work for you guys?
That's better.
Okay,
I
that
agree.
works.
Jeff,
That
you're still
works.
Oh
too
my
low.
god! I told you I would go straight to free cash flow, but 1.4. My god! Everybody expected it negative.
Yep.
That is
Okay, here's the big
phenomenal.
line, I guess. Cybercab, Tesla Semi, Megapack 3 are on schedule for volume production starting in 2026.
We know
First
that.
generation production lines for Optimus are being installed in
Holy
anticipation of
moly.
volume production. So that means everything is on track. Okay.
Okay, slight conflict there, though, to play devil's advocate, because Elon did say recently it's not complete. They have some finishing touches. So how can they do the final
Ooh.
production line?
Margin is up 1%.
Here's another good line. Once in production, we expect that Cybercab will begin to replace the existing Model Y fleet and will be the largest volume vehicle in the fleet over time.
That's bullish.
That's bullish.
Oh, yeah.
Free cash flow plus 1,4.
So they do have the same table with the same 7 cities, ramping unsupervised, ramping unsupervised, ramping unsupervised, preparations underway.
Get over here.
Oh my goodness gracious, this is good. Whenever
Yeah.
you don't expect it, that's when they're coming through.
And
Thanks to
also
Tesla.
Q1 is the weakest quarter of the year, and nothing is even starting. That's the backdrop. Can you imagine the free cash flow 2 or 3 quarters from now?
Wow.
They
Wow.
increased cash on hand to 44.7 in a quarter where it could have gone down to 40. This is incredible.
Began ramping LFP production.
That's for megapacks, isn't it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Also, well, do we know the battery chemistry inside the Cybercab? Is it the 4680?
It's 4680 Lion.
Yeah.
We do know.
But if you don't need performance,
No,
And
we
it's just
have. We do need performance. It's pretty definitive.
Okay.
Yeah, where's
Cortex
explain
1 is in
incre-
production.
Yeah, we
Or,
need.
well, that was known already, but it's over 100,000 H100 equivalents. And then Cortex 2 says early ramp. Okay. Wow, here's the big jump.
Stock up 13%. $13, sorry.
Oh, geez, why you do that to me?
Sorry.
Jeff, we can still barely hear you.
Can't hear you at all, Jeff.
Better.
Yes.
Better.
Yes.
Yeah,
There
there
we
you
go.
go. There you go.
Gap gross margin 21.1%.
Yeah, it had to be that. It had to be that because there's no way they would have made cash otherwise.
That's
So
exactly.
this is a
Did you
this is
see
a
that?
return to gross margin, guys.
It is. Did you see the picture of the Cortex 2? I mean, that's the most sexy seller I've seen in a long time.
Does it have wine bottles?
Oh my gosh, you can put my wine bottle somewhere else. My goodness gracious.
Jeff, what's your take on this
That's how many
pilot
are.
production for the Cybercab?
Yeah, that's that means that they're in the stage between the first off production in February and SOP. So this at the time of this publishing, it says they're not in start of production, but it could be imminent. It could be tomorrow. I mean, maybe they'll announce it on the call.
Yeah, I was wrong. I thought they had started production just from what I was seeing, but yep, it's very close.
Yeah, and Semi too is in the same bucket of they've made the final version of the Semi, and now they're getting the line to quality, rate, and speed, and Semi will enter production too. So these are two really good developments for Tesla.
It seems that Semi is not quite as far along as Cybercab, but maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
And then for robotics, it says preparations for our first large-scale Optimus factory will begin shortly in Q2. So
Wow.
that's good.
That's ahead of
That's good.
schedule. They wasn't it Q3 to start? So they're doing things earlier now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like. How's my audio now? Is it better?
Good.
It's better,
good.
but it's still low. But keep going.
I don't know.
No, it's good.
Yep.
It's good.
Okay. I think adding this robotics section is powerful. I think California will be in a couple of stages. I think there'll be a shorter line inside of a full production line. Let's see what Tesla says about that. The shorter line would allow them with a little bit less capacity to start sooner. So let's see what they say about that. FSD subscriptions looks like it's up. I mean, this is sequentially quarter on quarter. I mean, these are actually kind of big moves.
I love this line here. Deliveries and deployments will be impacted by aggregate demand for our products, supply chain readiness and allocation decisions between sale to customers or use for our owned and operated fleet.
Yeah. There you go.
Page 25, statement of operations. You will see that the
25.
dip we had, page 25, statement of information of operation. You see the services line. So the services is FSD, right? You see it went up to 3.475 in Q3, and then it went down in Q4, and then now it went up to 3.745. So that is FSD, and that is, when did they stop selling? Wasn't it middle of February that they stopped selling FSD outright? That everybody had to go, so you actually had less of the outright sales and more people switching to subscription, and it paid out because it's a 10% increase.
No
FSD
statement on.
subscriptions are up 51% year on year. That is
Huge
a big move.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there's no statement about the energy situation.
Yeah.
Well, energy generation and storage went up. Well, went down from 3.8 to 2.4. Yes, that is the one.
Should have voted on my question.
Yep.
So revenue went up.
But the cost
Sales, of
also
course.
went
It'll
down.
be in
The cost for energy generation also halved. So they produced less?
Yeah, no. It's work in progress. I'm convinced of it. Cost is simply the cost of the sale. So if they don't book a sale because the customer hasn't approved it yet, then they won't book the cost of goods.
Or we are back to my theory, which is maybe completely wrong, and which I got from Chess, one of our listeners, who said maybe it is because they put all the mega packs into the Cortexes.
It's not enough. It wouldn't move the needle.
Okay.
Alexander, what about this line here? Increase in operating expenses, 2025 CEO award. What is that?
Well, that is now, which give me the line a little bit bigger, because we have two things we're expecting. We're expecting the 96 million restricted stock. Remember, we did an intermediary award just before the vote, so he could vote with those, but if there was no double dipping, so when the new verdict came out, it had to be handed back. So that could be one of it. Increase in operating expenses. Yeah, so maybe that is that, or it is the issuance of the restricted stock. We still have to wait for the quarterly SEC filing to see how many stock we have now, whether we are at 3.7 more or less billion Tesla stock. But I think that is it. Does it say the 2025? I'm sorry, it's too small on my screen.
Yep, 2025 CEO award.
So-
That's what I'm saying.
so
It's
that
like
must
weird
be it.
showing up in
That must
Q1.
be it. It must be
Yeah.
the cost associated with the issuance of the restricted stock.
No, but the weighted average share diluted is exactly the same as last. It's actually 1,000 less, 3.538 compared to 3.539. So
4.4%.
hadn't changed.
I do believe
It's
this is the issuance of the restricted stock.
It's the margin that's moving the stock price.
Look at this. Perfect. Hey, Jeff, look at this.
Free cash flow.
Higher, you said this already, driven by higher increase in FSE sales and subscriptions, but then lower average cost per vehicle due to lower material costs. That is,
That's a big deal.
that's a big
really
shock
big-
for this timing, as you got the conversation we had earlier.
That's
I mean,
why
like,
that's why the stock is up, is the margin, and the way they've got the margin is through lower cost.
Yeah.
Okay.
And under the profit section on page 10, they really talk about in that one sentence that they're transitioning from a company that bends metal to a company that is a software company. And by the way, this is gonna be a software and robotics company. AI.
Jeff, I can't
Jeff,
really can't hear
15%
you.
louder. 15% louder.
Can't hear you,
Yeah,
man.
I'm on auto adjust. I don't know what to do with the sound anymore.
Just do it manual.
And did you see on page 26 in the assets that in property, plant, and equipment, we went up 2.5 billion, which is the biggest jump in quite a while for a quarter.
This has something for everybody.
Oh yeah.
Like whatever you wanted, it's in here.
I want to point out something too as well. That last time people were confused about this one. It's the services up 42% year on year. That's all supercharging.
FSD.
I told you that.
Is FSD
I
in
told
there?
you that 10 minutes ago.
FSD's in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Okay,
FSC was a
guys,
separate line item.
you said it's for everybody, but we said at the very beginning, the most important thing is right here, robo-taxi, cybercab. So we heard that cybercab is well, it's not, it doesn't say in production, but it says that it's
Pilot
it is
production.
on track. It's on track for volume production. So that's good words. And
No,
then
pilot production. Literally says pilot production.
no, I know. It's at pilot production, which means it's not yet in production, but in another place that it's on track for volume production. Cybercab is on track for volume production this year. So that means it's still on track. It's all good. But here, and then they did say that they're going to use cybercabs to replace Model Ys. That's good news. But otherwise, in this city, it's just ramping unsupervised. Those, or we already know, and these are still preferably right away.
Well, the services and others really what really hit the gross margin in a big way because it's an all-time record, and that's for Q1, which is very unusual.
Yes.
I mean, it's a big number. Q1 last year was $1.1 billion less. So, yeah, it's really good. But you know, the actual revenue from auto sales is amazing, just amazing.
Hey, this is a good sentence, guys. It says a major focus is increasing awareness of the safety and convenience provided by FSD Supervise as we evolve our sales strategy to position FSD Supervise as the product with promising early signs. Doesn't say advertising, but at least we're going to focus on it.
Something for everybody, exactly what Nick said.
How many cars can you make with 40 gigawatt hours of 4680s?
Jesus, a lot.
So 4680s in production. Is that new, or did we already know that it was in production?
We've never made so many.
They're starting production. The new batteries were starting production last quarter, I thought.
Okay.
We're starting in full production last quarter.
Which new batteries?
4680 says production, Jeff.
Oh,
Started production for the new Megapack factories on track for later this year.
Okay, here it is. It says, I was worried that it said early ramp for Cortex-2, not production, but in the sentence, it actually does say Cortex-2 is now online and has started running training workloads. Great.
Yeah, they said that half the factory was operating training workloads. I think they made it post to that.
Yeah.
To that.
Okay. This is, it's all, anything here that was a really negative thing you guys spotted that you thought was a negative?
No, I think
So far, so good.
just like last time, the deck was perfect. Just it's all on the call.
Oh.
How can he mess it up now? How can he mess it up?
I go back to one thing as well. I like to analyze the breadcrumbs that Elon drops for us. And he described 2025 as a year of whatever, heavy groundwork or something. And he said he's setting up for an epic 2026 and a ridiculous 2027 and 2028. This is already setting up to be very epic just for 2026. So it looks like, he's becoming much more reliable in his timeframes and promises. Would you all agree?
About the stock or the company?
I mean, he's delivering the impossible with impossible timelines and doing so many different things at the same time. I'm going to go to Jeff Lutz on this because you've got experience of what it takes to pull all this manufacturing stuff off at the same time. Multiple gigas, multiple products that have never been done before, self-driving cars, humanoid robots. Come on. Can you explain what it would take for one enterprise to build all of these factories, to do all these different things at the same time, and then refine lithium and whatever else on the side?
can I start with the breaking news unless you guys already covered it?
Sure.
Cybercab production has started.
Yes. Where did you get that from?
Tesla's X page
Okay.
10 minutes ago.
So
I think with Joe
exactly
Tegmeyer, we saw that too.
That's exactly what I predicted 3 months ago.
What exactly? Go ahead and explain.
I said that start of production would be towards the end of April.
That's exactly what I told Herbert 5 minutes ago, and he's like, "No, it's pilot production."
Yeah.
Well, they just literally announced it. So, I mean, look at their earnings deck. Their earnings deck
No,
says
we had-
pilot.
Yeah, we had this brainstorm back in January, and everybody had to guess. And actually, the whole brainstorm ended up converging over the end of April. But I actually came out with the end of April first, and I was pretty sure of it. So,
I mean,
but
the
it's
answer.
close. It's close.
The answer, James. I mean, they said April, so it's fine. This is good. Yeah, I've never seen a product portfolio as strong as Tesla, and then when you put SpaceX into it, it's crazy. So there's nothing like this. There's no comp. There's no other company like this. There's no other company. If you just look at the last 10 years, and you look at look at Apple. I mean, look at the other $4 trillion companies. I think you can arguably say that NVIDIA's portfolio was groundbreaking as it relates to AI infrastructure.
Yes.
But in terms of product portfolio, there is nothing like the auto, the energy, the AI, robotics. There's nothing like Tesla's portfolio. And to do all of this concurrently is extremely difficult. And so, yeah, I think it's okay to be critical on some of the short-term commits. Longer term, I think they're doing, and this is why Tesla's got a 300 whatever PE. It's not on their current earnings.
And all those things you mentioned are all N of one. Like that's what you pay them for, right? Like Palantir gets their valuation because there is no other Palantir. There is no other Tesla FSD. There's no other Cybercab. There's no other company making profitable EVs the way Tesla is. There is like SpaceX, the satellite, it's the N of one. That's why you pay forward for that, because there is nothing else.
Agree.
Yeah, and there's so much FUD out. I mean, they even lie about the auto business. There really isn't. We don't know of a sustainable, strong EV auto business outside of Tesla. Xiaomi may be creating one, but we don't know of another one in the world. And in terms of stationary energy and what they're doing is very special. I mean, other companies are linking batteries together and shipping it. I get it, but there's something more to what Tesla is doing with Megapack and in the future Mega Block, and what they're going to be able to do with solar. I don't know. How do you look at the portfolio of this company between energy generation, energy storage, auto, AI, physical real world AI, and then if you put the SpaceX portfolio on top of it with Starlink and what they're doing with getting product to orbit, 90% of the mass to orbit. I mean, this is insane. So, I mean, this is the valuation is on what Tesla will do, but it's also on Elon, his leadership, and what business will he build next.
Synergy, yeah.
So this post here has a lot of good comments. So one is demand for our vehicles continue to grow in APAC and South American markets with a rebound of demand in the European markets and North America. Great. As trade and geopolitics become more uncertain, we're further regionalizing and vertically integrating critical supply chains.
That's unbelievable. That's such a big sentence.
Good progress with Mega Factory in Houston. Start of production on track for later this year. So at this point, everything we're hearing for Cortex, Megapacks, everything is on track. Cybercabs, Tesla Semi. They're saying volume production.
I still think there's
and of course,
a big question, Herbert, on battery production, domestic battery production. If you're going to have 80 or 100 gigawatt hours of assembly in the U.S. and you're going to have 7 gigawatt hours of LFP, I mean, what's the plan? Is the plan that the spot price has been so low globally that we'll just import it and pay the tariff? But that's not been the spot price has been. I mean, I have to check it recently, but I thought it's actually been going up. Anyway, just where's the other 80% of the supply coming from?
This is the statement. Battery vendor cell availability continues to be a limiting factor, as you're saying, on ramping vehicle production.
Well,
We're working on it.
aren't LG putting up an LFP plant? Half their plant is going to LFP, according to
It's going to take them a year to finish assembly and a year to ramp it.
But they've been building that almost for 2 years.
Yes, I think it was different product though. I thought this was GM and pouches, but I could be wrong. But anyway, it's gonna take them at least a year. They got to ramp.
So they'll probably import batteries for a period of time. I mean, they know what they're doing in their supply chain. They understand their supply chain.
Well, they just said they're constrained, so they just said it's a constraining item.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good call out. That's one negative. Everything else seems to be fairly on track.
So back to free cash flow, because at the end of the day, that's everything. The estimate was minus 1.9 billion, and they came in at 1.4 positive. That's a huge swing, and I know, Alexander, that got your attention as well.
Well, most of that swing is in gross margin. Believe it or not. I mean, if you earn higher gross margin than anticipated, if you look at the projected gross margin, it was very significantly below where we are. Very significant.
So you think it's all FSD, pure margin business coming in?
Well, no, but the auto margins are better, and that extra margin that we're talking about, FSD, comes into services. So its auto margin has improved because their cost of goods have gone down. They said as much.
But the $3.5 billion swing in free cash flow, that is substantial. That's what I'm trying to get at. What did Wall Street miss?
So it's half $500 million in services, at least maybe $1 billion in margin. There's $1.5 billion right there.
You guys
What time's the call start?
The first production Cybercab.
What is the overhead?
Yeah, where is it?
How do they do an overhead?
There's a picture. Number one, it's glossy,
Oh,
which
I
I
see
find
it.
interesting. And second thing, if Farzad's watching, no steering wheel.
Exactly.
Stop.
Where is
Farzad,
it?
are you watching? Farzad, are you watching?
He's yelling at the screen right now.
I've never hit him
Yeah.
on this one, so this is my first time. So
Oh
Your
yeah,
first-
please go.
Which one are you
Go.
talking about, Jeff? What page is it?
It's not. You have to look on X. Sawyer has it up.
okay. Not this
Yeah.
one.
Ooh, they have the groundbreaking for the fab.
Is
there
this
it
the
is.
one?
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, that's it. Wait.
Yeah, so it's glossy, number
Oh,
one.
he starts insulting you. Look at that, Jeff. It says, watch
No,
your
it
mouth, Jeff.
It is shiny.
And no.
Oh,
Is
it
no
does say
steering
that on
wheel
the
for
deck.
our Iranian friend?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, Elon did, or they just said on the deck, right, that they're going to replace the Model Ys with the Cybercabs.
Well, I don't think they can. I think that'd be a mistake to replace all of them. You have to have something with 4 seats. Like people have kids and stuff that they don't want to like be separate as families. You know,
No,
like maybe they remove steering
Get a
wheels and
second
pedals.
car or put the kid in the trunk.
not all of them. I think this one, I've been trying to get to this early because I think this is the most important sentence, one of the most important sentence. Jeff, take a look at this. It says, we're excited about Tesla's positioning in 2026. With tailwinds persisting for the auto business, our continued progress in FSD supervised, the ramp of robotaxi, progress on Optimus ahead of mass production, progress of Optimus ahead of mass production, and the growth of our energy production capacity.
I think it's the volume of cybercabs, because if we're getting the volume production in 2026, that means that we have to start production now, like what it says. So I think that's bullish. And
What is
I think-
volume production? What number are you guys thinking? 5,000 a week, or are you something lower?
I don't know.
Well,
Sure.
it'll follow the curve of the Cybertruck, or maybe a lot faster. When we go to Jeff,
what-
our manufacturing expert for this one, So two questions for you, Jeff. One is, what's the ramp again for Cybercab now that we're live quarter to quarter, like 20,000 in the first quarter, 30 in the next? But the most important thing is, can you tell us that there's no way in hell Tesla would manufacture these things and stick them in a parking lot? They are going into the fleet. That's the most important part. Do you agree with those two statements?
Yes.
Yeah, Tesla is not a. I hope you can hear me.
Yep.
Yes, we can. A lot better.
Yeah, Tesla is not a company that carries a lot of channel inventory. And remember, what's unique about Cybercab is these don't ship to you or I. They're shipping to Tesla. So from a quality perspective, they're going to have much better control, and they can actually be a little bit more liberal with the ramp up. They can take some chances, I think, a bit. And so here's my take on the ramp. To me, success would be hundreds per month in April, and then maybe 1,000 per month by the end of June. So you start getting into the thousands, and then all of a sudden, what I've been predicting is by the end of the third quarter that they could produce the entire Waymo fleet in a month, and then within 6 months they could produce whatever the Waymo fleet size is in a week. And I think that's the kind of scale you're going to see. And their number 2 is going to pass number 1. Pretty quickly, I would say, in the next 3 to 6 months on autonomous cybercabs. And yeah, so it's like hundreds to 1,000, and then 1,000 to 10,000, and that'll be the kind of launch I think that they have on this year. Remember, they want to balance building not too many at this very high price. This is the highest price point in history that they'll ever have of cybercab is today. The first day of production is should be the most expensive cybercab they ever build, and everything from here should be downstream. So everything under that curve, they're going to not say minimize supply, but they're going to want to make sure they get the cost down to really take up the huge numbers and bring up more capacity. So that means they have to solve interstation yield issues. They have to solve interstation cycle time issues. And they have to get rid of all the queuing and really get this thing flowing through the factory. And then the big numbers will really come, both big numbers in velocity and then really small numbers in COGS.
Yeah.
Can I build on that? Because I think we started talking about it for a second, but I think I don't care so much that Cybercab started. I care about like what it's going to do, like you were just saying, about the fleet. They're not just going to have these sitting there on the lot. So to me, I don't really care like how fast the ramp is. They're going to build these. Even if it's a slow ramp, they're not just going to sit there. And that's a forcing function to grow the fleet that's out there already. And so one way or another, that fleet's about to grow now. And I think that's what's extremely exciting, because at the end of the day, that's what matters. And as that production happens, the fleet just grows bigger and bigger. And so I won't be surprised if by the end of May, call it June, we have more robotaxis out there than Waymo, just by the nature of they have to put these somewhere. Like, I don't know. I think that forcing function is everything.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, they spent less on capital expenditures, or they had a capital expenditure lower than their projected capital expenditure if you exclude the SpaceX investment. It's only if you include the SpaceX investment do they even get close to the capital expenditures that they projected, because they projected 20 billion for the year, if I recall correctly. They only spent 2.5 million. If you add the SpaceX investment, it's 4.5 million, still not at the level that they projected. So something else is coming. I don't know what it is, but some other fairly significant and it must be the terafab. It must be what they're putting into the terafab.
Well, I would hope it wouldn't be a lot in year one, given what year one is. I mean, it should be clearing a lot of the lot and starting to hire. I would say starting to hire people, but I don't think that would show up in CapEx.
No, not in CapEx.
So, yeah, I would hope. Yeah, the big numbers for terafab are going to be the lithography equipment and all the equipment inside of the factory. The small
Right.
numbers should be the construction of the factory. So it should be this thing that stair steps over the next 3 or 4 years. But yeah, it should something should start hitting this year. And I agree.
Well, they
it's low.
spent of the 20 billion they forecast, they've only spent 2.5, unless we want to add the 2 billion that they did in the SpaceX equity investment. It's unclear to me.
I
Would
think
you put that into?
I mean, it's part of the, if it's part of the 20, that means they're,
Well, do you think that they had that in mind at the beginning of the previous quarter? Because otherwise,
they announced it at the end of January. They announced a 20 billion capex at the end of January. The SpaceX investment was 2 weeks prior, right?
No, SpaceX investment was only just a few weeks ago.
No, the 2 billion. I thought it was 2 billion into XAI from Tesla on January 16th or 17th, right? And
I believe so. That's what I remember.
I'll start screaming.
Yeah, that's my recollection that they bought into XAI, right?
Anyway, their capex is on track to what they're projecting. 4.5 billion, 20 billion a year. Look at your inventory.
So, what do we think is going to happen on this earnings call? What should we be expecting?
I think the earnings report gives away a lot of it. I mean, there's nothing but goodness, nothing but catalysts, and everything's coming to fruition all at the same time. I think that's kind of staggering.
Yeah, no, I agree. I want to see Elon come out like Alex Karp and roast the shorts.
Again, I was up through the night watching the markets as usual, and I see your tweet, and I was like, "Dude, you should be sleeping, not up all night." So I think, as Larry said, maybe he doesn't need to sleep, and maybe he was up all night because he's in a good mood. Let's not jinx it, though. That's not counter chickens.
Yeah, when he's up all night, he's on an energy jag, and he often comes out fighting in the morning. So you're right; it was January 28th. So maybe that is included in the 20 billion. In which case, they are on track. You're right; not quite on track, but nearly on track.
Herbert, what time's the call start? 5:30 or 5?
5:30
Eastern.
Yeah.
Well, this is an outstanding report.
It was also, did you guys see the Goldman Sachs safety report? Tesla versus Waymo. I have a slide on it, slide 9, if you want to look at it. But now they're beginning to wake up and say, "Whoa!" Basically, they're slapping down the skeptics. This slide 9, if you can. We can come back to space if we want later. This one, they talk about how, the fleets are in expansion mode. But what they did, they took the data that you and I have looked at, Herbert, and they broke it down. And they compared the incident record and miles per incident from all the NHTSA data. And it's the first time I've ever seen, correct me if I'm wrong, Goldman Sachs digging into incident data between Waymo and Tesla. And basically they said robotaxi has a massive advantage in safety. And the more they scale, the more it'll become obvious. And they said as well, it's not just an EV company, it's a true leader in autonomous driving AI from Goldman Sachs. So TradFi is waking up. Congratulations after all these years. That got my attention.
Can you dumb this down for me? Why don't we have February and March data for Tesla?
Oh, we do. The data is 0.
You can't see it.
Oh,
Yeah.
There's not been an incident since January 15th.
okay. But in October, November, December, we had more.
Yes.
Yeah, that was when they made that big hoo-ha about it. Notice that nobody's talking about the last
December.
3 months.
Yeah.
This December here, there was 5, and that was the big hoo-ha. And all of them are fender benders.
Or 0 mile an hour or something bumped into it.
Yeah.
all those different instances. And thank you as well, Herbert, for doing such a great job breaking all that down.
Yeah.
All those NHTSA accidents. It's important.
Get to
So,
zero. That's the
do we
goal.
want to? This is a big elephant in the room that I want to get off my chest, and I've been talking about this for 3 months now. The whole SpaceX Tesla thing, the synergy, the comp plans. I think it's an interesting story because not only the crazy synergy you're going to get with Tesla and things like Terafab funded by the SpaceX IPO, that's massive. But at the same time, we have, the superpower, super voting shares from SpaceX. Very important. He doesn't have that with Tesla. But when you look at the comp plans and you break down the comp plans and you break down the relative valuations between SpaceX and Tesla, especially in light of the earnings report today, it would be madness for a Tesla shareholder to submit to a merger, unless, of course, the stock price went up many multiples, like a 2x right now. It would have to be $800. That would be the comparative valuation I'd place on Tesla today to merge as an equal with SpaceX. And I've done the math, and I've compared the comp plans and done the future forecasts. I do believe after 2030, SpaceX with space-based data centers could be a force to be reckoned with. We also had breaking news today as well. China is getting in on orbital data center startups, and China have pumped $8.4 billion into credit lines to build up their own, probably another 100 like EV makers, be 100 space-based data center startups in China. So the space race is on, which I think is extremely important. Everybody now knows there's only one way to embrace AI, and that's put all the compute in fusion solar-powered space data centers. So a lot to talk about here. Everybody seems distracted.
Fastest sequential growth ever for, this is me just looking at the data, for FSD subscriptions.
Yep, exactly. That's big. And everybody's talking about it now. I mean, I think FSD has opened up a whole world. I would nearly mandate anybody who's hard of seeing or hard of concentrating or under 21 or likes to drink and drive or is over a certain age should have FSD. Like literally, it's a super for safety. And I know from family experience too, but I expect a huge uptake in that. And that's just all pure gravy. Larry, can you imagine the free cash flow if FSD penetration starts hitting China, South Korea, North America,
Europe? Even Europe. But APAC had record sales of vehicles this quarter, record sales in the quarter. So, I mean, it's important to get FSD into APAC because APAC is growing faster and Europe is, but Europe would add a significant amount and it may change the sales dynamic in Europe. But
already is.
Oh. Yeah. So it makes a huge difference. You're right. 100%.
Alexandra,
overtaxing.
Yeah, as a fellow European, how price sensitive would Europeans be to €100 a month or $100 a month for FSD?
Well, first of all, insurance is expensive in Europe. So if that helps with insurance premiums, you know how the Europeans are. If you have an arbitrage where you gain some money on one corner and get some, and then safety. I mean, American roads are less safe than Europeans, but Europeans are obsessed with safety. Safety statistics are coming out monthly, people being obsessed about it. It has always been one of the selling points of certain brands in Europe. And now you will suddenly have this enormous jump in safety, right? I can only always encourage elder people to use as soon as possible FSD because it just makes a complete difference in your comfort of driving and in the safety of your own lives. And if you love your mom and dad and grandparents, ask them to subscribe to FSD. So I do believe in Europe, it's going to be a game changer. There is nothing comparable out there. Bosch, Mercedes, BMW, I mean, for the showcase, they're still there, but there's nothing comparable. Waymo is only starting in a couple, I think they're starting in London now. So the fact that Teslas can now be on supervised FSD in the Netherlands and soon in other countries will just bring the whole market from an autopilot situation to FSD 14.2 at least, maybe 0.3 by then. is incredible. The biggest jump in technology with one turn of a button. And I do believe there is a very sensitive clientele for it. Also, you have to know in Europe, lots of cars, I think it's a third of the car market, is actually companies buying for their employees' cars. A company wants to have their employees in the safest cars. They cannot take the legal risk of having them in cars that are less safe. So there will be a whole dynamic of companies having to consider Teslas, because otherwise they're actually running a legal risk of putting their employees in less safe cars. So this will take all a couple of months, even short years, but this is going to be a very, very trigger-heavy contribution to income. And I mean, you may or not like Dan Ives. I love the guy. I think he doesn't dress as well as me, but close to it. But he just had the courage to go on CNBC and tell them, we now have an AI company. We now have a robotics company. This is not a car company. And we need people carrying that message to the non-believers, and there's still so many out there. I'm actually saluting all these shorts that told me this week how proud they are that they are in the black with their short positions. I hope that's still true by tomorrow.
It's interesting wearing driving records. Just to hammer home, I was surprised how bad the driving records are in places like France, Poland, Romania, Norway. Norway have bad drivers. Maybe there's too much snow and they crash all over the place. But some of the driving records are not as good as you would imagine in Europe. Anyway, back to you, Herbert.
I was going to say that Tesla the shorts and the Q were out in force, weren't they, Alexandra? They were attacking you. They were like left, right, and center. So is this, James, is this like, like they're being cornered and they're out in force, they're afraid, or...
You saw my tweet making fun of the JP Morgan guy, and I was so grateful for him. I'll send him a Christmas card. He torpedoed the price down to 330 for us with that report of Q1 earnings. I mean, how do these psyops, how are they even gainfully employed? And I'm very grateful for them, don't get me wrong. But literally, how do they have a job? It's bizarre. Alexander, once again, you're close to them. And Larry, I hear you breathing under your breath there. You're shocked as well. How do they have a job? Or are they psyops literally to depress the price because they're on the other side of the trade?
It's, you have to think they get paid for bad advice, because, you take some of them, they're right at the bottom of the list, and they're talking for big banks, major banks, major,
the biggest,
and they're right at the bottom of the list, not just on Tesla, but in the overall, results. And yet they keep their jobs for like year after year after year. In sales, you get bounced if you're, less than top 10. Here it seems that you get rewarded for being the bottom 1%. I mean, it's just incredible, just incredible. By the way, am I wrong? This is the first quarter in a long time that quarter over quarter we're showing significant growth over the previous year. Q1 2025 was just on 14,000. We're like 16% better than last year Q1. That's a hell of a thing compared to where we've been.
Yeah, first quarter upon quarter growth. Yeah, I think so.
Now, how do I sound?
Better.
You sound perfect. You look perfect. That hair, those glasses, everything's good. Everything is good.
It's a lot of information there.
Making sure you're reassured. See that I'm the mother in me is coming out again.
Have we covered this already as well? There's notes in the account that Tesla recorded $2 billion equity investment in SpaceX as well during Q1.
Yes, of course. And I mean, we know that. We know that.
Old,
point number 7
that's
in our
XAI stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So this has all been there. Now let me just reply to you while we have what 40 minutes left, and I don't want to use 40 minutes, but at least 3-4 minutes, and then Larry can complement what I'm missing. I'm always going onto this merger idea with 2-3 reasons for urgency. Okay, I hear you. I mean, wouldn't it be nice if Tesla was already, I don't know how many trillions more, and SpaceX has the time to be a trillion? On that topic, I actually think Larry is the right person because he invested in both. He knows the SpaceX story much better than any of us who are not invested in SpaceX and can defend it. I'm coming from the stuff that has caused me sleepless nights for the last 5 years, and you will help me to get over it, but I'm still traumatized. So the first one is Elon better off under a Trump presidency? Yes. How long will the Trump presidency last? Another 2 years. How long does a good merger take to get through on every point? Can take up to 1 to 2 years. So the sooner, the better. Would this merger happen under a Democrat president? Who knows? Do you want to take that risk? No. So that's my first point. The second point is SpaceX has a double share class. I haven't seen the S1 on how this would be maintained, but they're certainly going to remain a double share class because that was always the issue with Tesla. While it is beautifully fair that one share, one vote, all retail that I've ever spoken to would like to give all their votes to Elon. And the easiest way to do that is by Elon having higher share voting power. And so SpaceX has the ideal configuration to be the surviving entity. And the sooner we have that, the less issues there will be on future votes. I mean, how many hours, days, and nights we've all spent on convincing people of being able to vote, of voting the right way. I mean, we always won, good thing, but there were some uphill battles. And especially in the times to come where it gets gigantic, it gets galactic, it gets just a bit. I don't want to have to fight again and again and again for every shareholder vote just because we have a single shareholder situation. So that shareholder vote configuration of SpaceX, the sooner that applies to the whole structure, the better. And then the third point for me is that I have the sensation that Elon would be in a much safer space in terms of protection from government, from foul players, from whatever else, in a space combined company. The United States, and maybe for their Golden Dome, and maybe for so many other, depends on SpaceX so much, depends less on Tesla. We have seen last year how little protection in the end the state, the federal government could give Tesla when we had all these crazies out in the streets, right? I do believe that a combined entity will shield the security of our investments, our company, much more because the government is much more engaged in keeping SpaceX happy and safe than Tesla happy and safe. I can't put it in better words, but and now from an operational point of view, I let Larry defend our position.
Yeah, and one thing you hinted one point. I made a video 3 months ago about SpaceX and Tesla merger, and we covered this before a month ago. I said the trigger for it would be an Orwellian government, which is exactly what we're saying. But now we have a second trigger. Can you share that slide for 1 second, Herbert, down there? This is the big news. This is exactly what Alexander is saying. The China is now putting $8.4 billion into space startups to build data centers in space. This is it. This is the new nuclear arms race, my friends.
Right.
And there's 2 games in town. It's USA and it's USA with SpaceX. Right. And then there's China. That's it.
So,
forget about the rest.
So let me pick up. I mean, you're absolutely right, James. You know, the horse we're backing, the United States are backing, is SpaceX. We have a second opportunity with Jeff Bezos's company. You know, it's more than possible that they will also enter they've said they're going to enter the satellite network of data centers, and he certainly has the means to do it, and I think that's a good thing. But turning to the reasons for the merger, I think everything that Alexandra said is correct, and everything that you said, James, is correct. But I think that one of the key elements of my assessment of the situation is that I still assess that SpaceX is grossly undervalued at 1.75 trillion. So while I'm absolutely aligned 100% with you, James, that Tesla is grossly undervalued currently, and I'm very relaxed about it, by the way. I'm not in the same camp as many people who need urgently the share price to go up. I could care less. But it is undervalued, and I will stipulate that. But at the same time, I believe SpaceX is grossly undervalued. Firstly, the valuation of XAI is ridiculous, given the valuation of their competitors and those in the same line of business.
Agree.
Yeah. And secondly, the valuation of SpaceX does not take into account its absolute leadership in the space race today and where they are in the development of Starship. The value of that is not the profit they're going to make on Starship, although that's going to be reasonable, a couple of billion, tens of billions maybe, but what it enables them to do. And so while we'll have Jeff Bezos to come into that game and we'll have a few others to come into the game, the absolute advantage they have with Starship is the same absolute advantage that they've earned for the last 10 years from Falcon 9. They will have a cost of launch that will be so ridiculously better than every other company on Earth and every other nation on Earth, because they're so far ahead that it's going to take years for either Bezos or China to catch up to them. And that is the enabling capability, that's the enabling factor in data centers in the sky. So personally, I think SpaceX is grossly undervalued in the same way as Tesla is grossly undervalued. The only problem is it's very hard for me to persuade the Tesla, followers, because they know the Tesla story intimately. The SpaceX story, I had to develop brick by brick with Herbert. I had to develop brick by brick. Yeah, it's a black box to them. Once I had Herbert understanding it, he got it, and oh my God, I didn't realize that. So that is the huge problem. The problem is not that.
Sorry to interrupt you. We have breaking news. Lars just confirmed
Thank
we don't
you.
have the 2,500 limit. We don't have the 2,500 limit. It is
How did he say
that?
I've been saying that for months.
Me too. But
Yeah, we've been saying it for months. I know.
But it's the first time Tesla said it, guys. It's breaking news. Go on, Alexander.
It is breaking news, but I bet you didn't move the stock.
I mean, can we please just have a moment? We have some real assholes in the comment. There is somebody who said Alexandra is on the Epstein list.
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This is going out of hand. We have some real bears here in the comments. I want everybody in the comments to just relax.
Herbert, do you have a moderator? Block these people. Ban them.
there is about 10 people in there. They're just.
I think anybody accusing somebody of being on the Epstein list is deserved of being blocked, because there's no redemption from that.
Ban them.
It's
not happening on my channel, Herbert, because I got 4 moderators in there and it's clean as a whistle.
Throw them out, Herbert. I'm so fed up with these assholes. I'm sorry for my
busy.
Careful.
Very busy.
Don't forget, Elon made accusations about someone else. Come
maybe
on,
it's
that's
Juan,
funny.
maybe it's Juan Epstein.
That was a pretty chess move. That was a brilliant move. If you dig into that, the reason behind that is brilliant. But anyway, let's move on from that list.
So this is the one you're referring to?
No,
Alexandra.
YouTube comments. YouTube comments.
Oh,
yeah, I know. So here is who did Lars reply to? So Lars replied to
Farzad.
Reply to Farzad.
Yeah, because I told him there's no 2,500, and then he asked you, "Can you please clarify if that's the case?" And Lars said, "No." There you go.
Meaning he can't clarify.
Can you please clarify if the 2,500 if he's applies to something or not? He said no. Okay.
That's it. There is no.
I'm just trying to get Farzad
Bert
some.
did a great job on it. GP did a great job on this. Yeah.
Jeez.
All right. I'm just gonna jump in next time because Alexander, I'm over here like just trying to let Larry finish. I'm like, guys, this just came out. You're like, guys, breaking news. That's how you do it. I'm taking notes.
Sorry, I interrupted you, Larry. Please go back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I mean, I think I've had my say. It's extraordinarily difficult to explain the whole SpaceX opportunity because just if you're not a Tesla follower, if you don't really understand Tesla, there are so many components of the case to be made for Tesla, and the same is true of SpaceX. There are so many components in that, and I have to say that the opportunity of bringing those guys like Johnson into overall control is just magical. So I just wanted to say that you've got Gwyn, you've got Brett, you've got really, really outstanding guys, just as you have in Tesla, and they kind of complement them one another very well. So anyway.
Let's bring it back to numbers. Can you share that slide, Herbert? I know you're busy with other stuff.
While you share it, we do have another breaking news.
This is too much of a day.
I know. This might be the biggest one of the day.
Go.
Farzad Post. I hereby relinquish my crown. Steering wheel and pedals are for losers. Only an idiot would say Cybercab would need a steering wheel and pedals. I mean, seriously, who would ever say such a thing?
No way. He's eating his shoe?
Yeah.
I don't believe that. Wow, that's impressive. Anyway, back to this, Larry and Alexander. This comes back to my...
We won. And Jeff, you jumped on the train just on time. I love it.
Yes, I know.
So back to valuations, because at the end of the day, I'm all about multiples. And I want us to think in terms of multiples. Anybody chime in here? So per the comp plan for Tesla, which I went through with a fine-tooth comb 100 times, it's going to 8.5 trillion. And that's before any massive PEs, etc. That's just base. And that's a 6.1x from where we are today on the stock. Put that aside. Now, I also have the SpaceX comp plan. Okay. And I look at the amount of extra cheddar Elon can make, $1 trillion under Tesla, 300 billion under SpaceX. He already has a lot of SpaceX anyway. But that would take the SpaceX valuation per my math to about 6.6 trillion. That's a 3x. So you get double the return holding Tesla over SpaceX if they launch the IPO at 2 trillion. This, for me, as an investor, I like the orange, not the blue.
I disagree with that. I think that the reason the SpaceX comp plan is so muted for Elon is simply because he has control and he didn't need a higher comp plan. So I think, honestly, if Tesla goes to the 8.5 trillion, I do believe we'll see SpaceX close to that number, if not above that number.
So I don't have the bylaws for the. Yeah, go ahead.
I've done the calcs in terms of valuation, and the SpaceX valuation is nutty. It goes to beyond the 10 trillion mark.
Post 2030. Post 2030.
It's crazy.
We're not going to see that over the next 3 to 5 years. That's my point. So I'm interested in the game for the next 3 to 5 years. I do everything in 3 to 5 years.
Let me first get back on the compensation plans.
I think you're wrong.
Let me first get to the compensation plans, because that's what you're trying to use as a base. You cannot use that as a base. First of all, they were not made at the same moment. Second, if in any way the certificate of formation in Texas and the bylaws in Texas, which I have no insight on, and Larry cannot give to me because they're under NDA, and I understand that. So as soon as we have those, I will show it to you in words. And you don't have it either, James. Nobody has it. But as soon as we have that, I'm nearly certain that they have the same writing, what happens in a case of a merger, whether it's a merger of equals or acquisitions or whatever, is all the operational goals can fly out of the window or can be maintained with new numbers, but all the market cap goals will be adjusted to reflect the combination of the two companies. Okay? So they have all latitude to adjust these, and you cannot take them as a reason of saying, okay, that market cap that was set, when was it, a year and a half ago for SpaceX, is now an indication of how much SpaceX will be worth at a certain point in time, which is the same point in time than the November 2025 compensation plan we voted it. It's not comparable. It's different moments in time. It's different. And at the merger, they will all be put back to zero.
And it's a different holding requirement, much different holding requirement. The holding requirement in Tesla is 5 years. That isn't the same in SpaceX. So the discounted value of that stock is very significantly different. Anyway, I think that it's the wrong metric. I'm with 100% with Alexandra. I think it's the wrong metric. And I think just saying that the stock's going to be worth this because of that, I think it's ludicrous. The opportunity, the opportunities, the shots at goal at SpaceX is very significant. The number of shots at goal are larger at SpaceX than they are at Tesla. Tesla have 2 gigantic shots at goal and then a few minor ones.
Exactly.
SpaceX has 3 or 4 really major shots at goal. And so, you've got XAI, you've got X, and you've got Starship, and you've got data centers in the sky, and you've got Starlink. You've got such enormous potential that it's just staggering. Anyway,
Plus the fact that you are then one of the top 3, if not the top mega cap in the world, which will make you fulfill your capital needs, because they will need to get a lot of money from different ways. But we'll see how we get there. But by being up there, you have a completely different condition and quickness and ways of getting to that money, much more than if they stay separated.
Exactly. And either way, it's going to be fantastic because of the synergy. And I made a video as well called Virgin TAMS. I think it was suppressed by YouTube because nobody ever saw it, probably because of the name Virgin TAMS. But I meant Virgin Total Addressable Markets. Things like space is the ultimate addressable market. It's vast, beyond vast. So we totally agree, Larry. And then autonomous vehicles and AI agents and all the stuff, humanoid robots, the terafab, inference.
The most important argument for integrating the 2 companies is because you don't want to have these separate things. You have to start building products that are totally and fully integrated in ways that we can't even yet imagine.
Yeah.
But when you have those teams, then all of these things are going to, fall out of it. I mean, data centers in the sky didn't happen by mistake. They happened because we can see a path to $20 a ton to low Earth orbit. And when you get to that number, bingo, the whole world opens.
I'll challenge you again.
Let me just jump in one last one, and I promise I won't say any more then. But the biggest gift that Elon could give us is to do it early, because then Tesla stock will profit from the Nasdaq 100 inclusion and all that, because it will be from the announcement on in the lockstep. And so, if he really, which he always said, wants to do a good gift to retail investors, that is it. The announcement as early as possible.
And I have one other thing before James shoots me down.
I didn't shoot. We agree.
The moment not the moment the S1 falls, but the moment we have clarity on the pricing of SpaceX, Tesla stock's going to, I said on the other day on Randy's show that I think we're going to hit 550 when the SpaceX in roughly late May, early June, when the SpaceX S1 is published, and when we see the pricing, I think Tesla's going to rapidly equilibrate with the SpaceX earnings.
I'll up you one there. As soon as we get 2,000 cybercabs, robotaxis, whatever, in the market floating around, we get to $500, new all-time high. And that could happen within 4 weeks. So that's line in the sand right now. But I do want to also talk about one other elephant in the room that Elon has in his tool belt, and that's AGI ASI timeline. We already got that from the Grok plan. The Grok 5 equates to
Right.
AGI. Grok 6 and Grok 7 are ASI, artificial superintelligence. People don't know what this means when a conglomerate has this AI power at their fingertips to create
Right.
new metals, new sources of fusion energy, new whatever, cooling panels for data centers in space. The mind melts. And he's alluded to the fact that the rate of change that we are about to witness, even for things like Optimus learning, are off the hook. This is why I always been warning people, the future's very bright, buckle in, get through the pain and the lumps of the volatile stock price. But it's just going to take off over the next 2 or 3 years. It's going to be absolutely insane. And people can bookmark this and then throw muck at me if I'm wrong. But I tell you, it's
Absolutely
I've never
aligned.
seen anything like it.
So
I
yeah,
would
James,
add 10 years to that.
as a Tesla investor, this is what I learned when I had Larry on kind of walk me through the SpaceX
Who's this
story.
Larry guy?
Yeah, great
Drinking
guy.
wine.
What he taught me that as a Tesla investor that I didn't understand that now I do. So as Tesla investors, we're all sitting here going, my gosh, Tesla stock is about to skyrocket. We're about to solve robotaxi, which we have. It's a rollout now. Then we have Optimus.
Yeah.
SpaceX, we're talking about data centers in the sky. We're talking about moon, cities on the moon. We're talking about, Dysons. These are going to take decades. That's actually not true. What he walked me through was that Starlink, just by itself, Starlink alone, is equivalent in size to the robotaxi opportunity, and it's happening at the same year. And by the time that robots are in place, SpaceX AI data centers will be in place, and that's the same size, TAM, as the robots. So these are actually truly mergers of equals at the same time. So it's not like, oh my God, they're going to dilute us.
And you've left out XAI and X.
And I've also left out, which you guys did also, which is SpaceX Mobile.
Yeah,
Mobile.
mobile direct
Mobile.
to sell.
Direct
Well,
to
that's
sell.
Starlink. That's
Starlink.
where the money's
But that's
coming
like-
from Starlink.
That's not even
Look.
added into the whole story yet.
I would counsel you guys. I'm going to be doing a show with Royden in the next day or so about India. That's all I'll say about that. And then
Ooh.
that will open your eyes. Open your eyes as to what the real opportunity is in Starlink. So I don't want to
Okay.
say more than that, but I mean, it is incredible what value SpaceX is about to unlock.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not underplaying Tesla. I have a huge investment in Tesla. It's my biggest single investment. I have a huge investment in Tesla. But I mean, I have never seen a company like SpaceX in my life before. And I'm 80 years of age. I've seen it all. I've seen it all.
Can
So,
I tell you
anyway.
what I think everyone's missing about the SpaceX? And I'm joking a little bit here, but kind of serious. Imagine Elon, no longer CEO, Gwen, CEO, earnings call, Gwen, the polished. Elon does what he's best at.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Imagine. Oh my goodness.
But they do fantastically
Competent,
well
kind,
together.
and good
Gwen.
communicating woman.
They do fantastically well together. They
the
really,
best.
really do well
Can't
together.
wait.
Yeah.
She can be the COO of Tesla. That would be great. I did a full show with Larry on Gwen, just Gwen. Oh my God, great. Guys, we've got
She's the
15
second
minutes.
preferred lady right after me, right, Larry?
Right after you. Right after you. You're the queen. You'll always be the queen.
See how our jealousy got
She
out
doesn't
like
match.
straight away?
Doesn't match
Oh,
you. Does not match you in any way.
I'm just brightening it up. Okay, we got 15 minutes
All
to
right.
go. Gil.
We got 15 minutes. And I think what we need to do is talk about the questions, because one of the things that I am disappointed with is that they have not.
Energy.
No, Optimus. Why have they not shared the date of when Optimus is going to be
Yeah.
here?
I
And that
agree.
is the first question. When will we
Yeah.
have Optimus V3 reveal? Do you think that on this earnings call, they will actually tell us an actual date?
Yes.
No product announcement on the
No.
earnings call. Forget about
No,
that.
they won't tell us a product announcement, but they'll tell us when an event is going to be held.
They'll probably say Q2, which is loose
Yes.
enough.
I mean, that's not good enough. They said Q1. It
Maybe
didn't happen.
end of May. Maybe end of May.
Hmm.
They'll
Okay.
say
And
something like
it
that,
reminds me, it
ambiguous.
goes back to, what was it, 8.8 to 10.10 for the We
Mhm.
Robot event. He needs everything to be perfect. You only get
Mm-hmm.
one shot at this in history. V3 is everything. So he wants it to be perfect. And I totally agree with that. And people should be patient.
Can
I
we
don't
reflect on
understand the
that for a
obsession.
second?
We know it's
Like
there.
that's such a great point you just brought up, because you remember everyone was freaking out about, oh my God, they're delaying it by 2 months, and everyone, the
8.8 to
stock went
10.10.
down.
Yeah.
Everyone was freaking out. And
Yes.
it's like, all right, guys, it was
Doesn't matter.
literally no big deal. Look where we are now.
Yeah.
How do you guys respond to the people who say, well, you guys launched Robotaxi June, almost a year ago, and all you have is 13 cars,
Because if
17
they
cars.
have one prang, one accident, they'll be crucified by mainstream media. That's the problem.
I am not aware of another company that has ever launched into a new city fully unsupervised.
They just
You're
did
right.
two.
You're right. You know, Waymo was 2 years supervised, two and a bit years supervised. In both cities, they started with the one in Scottsdale, Arizona, and the others in the Bay Area, and they were 2 years supervised in both of those sites. So you can't begin to compare where they are now. It's a few years later. By the way, there is a senior executive of Google who's a director of SpaceX. You guys know that?
Nope.
Well, Google's
That's a
an
true
investor
statement.
in SpaceX, right?
Yeah,
Didn't
they
they
are.
make
Yes,
a ton of money?
yes. Yeah, and so on the board of directors of SpaceX, there is a very senior guy at Google, from Google. Just thought I'd let you guys know.
Okay, second question is, what milestones are you targeting for unsupervised FSD and robotaxi expansion beyond Austin this year? How will that drive recurring revenue? So more details. I'm sure they'll answer that prior to this question, though, right?
I think it might be the 15 version 15 we need. So
And then when do you expect FSD unsupervised to reach customer cars? I don't know. Not sure that's important. I mean, some of you do think it's important, right? Because that you are saying that in order for true robotaxi to happen, you have to have customer cars to be part of the equation.
Yeah, you do. But you don't have to have them in the early days or the early years. I mean, you need them. They are the profit. That's where the profit lies, by the way. Being able to expand your fleet on demand on peak hours, because all the money is made in peak hours. All of the money.
I take umbrage with the way Herbert said that, though. In order to have true robotaxis, you have to. No, what do we have now when I go to Austin? I take it. Is that not a true robotaxi? Is that fake?
True
Is that
robotaxi service to really cover the whole thing, including peaks and
Here's the thing, Nick. If you go to Austin, and I go to Austin very often, my office is there. When I go to Austin, I know that I can't get a robotaxi at peak hours. I know it.
Hi, Cern.
So if you don't have the ability to have this elastic supply, you can't make money. And that's why Waymo will never make money in this business.
Yeah, but I do think that, I mean, I agree with you. And trust me, I'm not going to buy another Tesla until I can put I bought FSD. I want to put that thing to work before I buy another Tesla. But so I'm with you on that. But I do think that they'll be able to scale and do everything just fine, managing their own fleet for a while. I think for us to be part of it, it won't be this year for sure.
The reason you're right, absolutely right, is because prices are so high relative to what they could charge if they were able to scale, in peak hours. The problem is, until they do that scaling in peak hours with customer cars, they will not be able to provide a 24-hour reliable service. They will always be known to be unavailable in peak hours.
Or they'll
Okay,
just have a lot of assets not being utilized that sit on standby.
That is
right?
the other way to do it.
We have
Yeah, I
10
agree.
minutes. And so before we do that, go ahead, Søren.
Yeah, you guys have done a great job covering the results. I just wanted to highlight a couple things. FSD subscriptions up 180,000 this quarter.
Yep.
Of course, we know that that was bumped up by the last chance to purchase FSD. But what's interesting now, Herbert, if you go to the next slide, is almost 14% of all vehicles ever delivered have FSD subscription.
Wow.
And then if you look at it for this quarter,
Hold on a second. Ever delivered, even the old versions from decade ago?
looking at cumulative deliveries, yes.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
Did-
and
Sure.
then amazing on the for this quarter, the incremental take rate was over 50%.
Wow.
Wow.
Now, of course, that's heavily skewed by the fact that a lot of people who didn't buy a car this quarter purchased FSD, right? They purchased FSD on their car that they bought, a year ago or whatever. So that will come down, I'm sure, in the second quarter.
I don't think so.
Well, perhaps
Because
not,
they've
right?
had these deals before. No, I think it's an appropriate call out, sir. They've had these deals before, like, oh, this is it on FSD, and we never saw the kind of growth that we saw this. I don't know.
That's
It
right.
may not come down.
Maybe
No,
not.
I think you're right. I think it's what we could call a catalyzing event. I think the catalyzing event wasn't the offer this quarter. I think the catalyzing event was the offer this quarter plus what's happening in terms of FSD.
And then, of course, in Q2, we're going to have potentially the bump up in Europe, people in Europe being able to purchase or subscribe to FSD. So
Great
that's
point.
another positive thing for this quarter. And then if you
Great
just
point.
look at margins real quick, total gross profit, 21.1%. Net profit, 6.5%. So nothing too amazing there.
How many quarters do you have to go back to get to that level of profit, though?
The 21%?
Yeah.
Back in like Q3 of 2023.
There you go. There you go.
Days.
That's amazing.
Yep.
No, it's right here. Q4 2022.
22.4. Okay. Yeah.
And that's with the ZEV credits, right?
That
yeah. And
and
now
so
ZEV
if
credits
we-
went down.
If we
Exactly.
back that out into the next chart, if you just look at auto gross margins on the next page, gross margin with the credits 21.1, but without 19.2, which again is the highest it's been since 2022, 2023.
Huge issue. Huge opportunity. I mean, it's amazing.
And then on the next page, the gross profit per vehicle delivered, X credits and X lease, is now over $8,000 again.
Amazing.
Wow.
Does that include FSD? No or yes?
FSD is part of services and others, so
It's
no.
not. That's incredible. Shout out to Jim Farley.
This is a great slide. This is an important slide. Yeah.
It's the most
This is
important
crazy.
news of the quarter, though. It's the most important news of the quarter in terms of auto. Of course, the auto is less, but I mean, it's amazing. It's an amazing job. You have
And
to
then
take your
finally,
hat off.
the last slide is looking at gross margins per business line. Autos, service and other fine, but the energy one bumped up to 39.5%. So something interesting or unexplained is going on there for the quarter.
Yeah, I had a concept on that, sir. And could there be juicy transfer pricing within Tesla for megapacks?
Good question. Good theory. I don't know.
That's what I
Really
thought.
small number again.
I
but
said that for a week now, and I was every time yelled down that no, that's not enough.
No, we're talking about the shortfall, the 6 gigawatt shortfall. It's not enough, but I don't know why you would be paying yourself more for megapacks than the market.
You're not paying
You-
yourself. You're not paying anything. You're using them yourself.
No. You have to
have to.
account somehow. But I think there's an accounting requirement in terms of how you price what you sell yourself.
Correct.
I don't know that there is in the United States. I know that in the UK, we had very tight control of what we could pay ourselves. I mean, we did it ourselves, and we had to price it at the lower of the average across the customer base.
Well,
Well, I do hope
Yeah.
one of the financial analysts asked that question, because they are the only ones being able to jump now on unanswered questions, because ours are in there through say. So if they have something in their brain, they may, not that I have much hope, but they may actually ask that question.
I didn't quite realize this. Gene Munster posted FSD miles driven grew 93% quarter over quarter. That's crazy.
Is that real? Where did he
That's what
get
he
the
posted.
number from?
He said, looking at the chart in the deck, he said FSD subs grew 16% quarter over quarter. FSD miles grew 93% quarter over quarter. That's wild if that's true.
I can check that right now.
Yeah.
The
And I don't think-
16% I validated. That's the highest quarter on sequential quarter growth ever for FSD. The miles tells you that people are using it as a percent of their driving miles more.
I'd like
But
to take
yeah,
credit
it's
for
huge.
that, for throwing a lot of shade at everybody for not using it more. Dylan.
We're at 9.7 billion. By May 12th, we'll be at 10 billion, maybe sooner at this rate. So it's really going exponential with the miles. But that's really good.
Is this what page? Where are you guys?
That was
Is
a
this
tweet,
page
I think.
8? Oh.
I think his
FSD
FSD miles
miles
driven quarter over quarter is incorrect. I think it's probably 93% year over year. If that's
Okay.
right. It's not up.
Yeah, it went from 8 to 9 quarter
Yeah.
over quarter. But year over year, wow.
I think he's got his Q over
Yeah.
Q and Y over Y's mixed up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think so too.
Don't blame me. It's Gene Munster. He's the one that made the mistake.
Stop spreading
Oh,
fake
did you
news.
see that Farzad increased his tip to $100, Herbert? You're
Wait,
getting
can you
rich
guys
here.
can you guys hear this?
No, we cannot hear you. No, we cannot hear anything.
Can you hear the music?
No.
No, sir.
We cannot hear the music. But I just wanted to let you know that you got another $100 from Farzad, and I think you should share that with the group.
Yeah, I was
Come on,
going to
that
say,
was
I want some of that. I want some of
Farzad.
And
that.
you have no
Gumball.
idea. There is never anything.
If Farzad's not dropping 10K in here, what are we doing here?
Yeah,
I think I'm gonna play German Union here in the Herbert Ong production company. I know I have Cern with me very quickly, and Jeff. Nick, I'm sure, is gonna join us as well. And
Okay,
Larry.
hold on, guys. Hold on. We got to
I'm a
solve
team
this,
player,
guys.
so
This is critical.
Look how he's not talking
This
about
has to be
something else.
solved. We got to figure this out.
See?
I think I'll
We-
jump,
we-
jump on.
we don't do anything.
Oh,
We sit here.
you're the boss.
We look pretty.
I'm
get-
going to jump on it myself.
Yeah, now
It's
we got
working
it.
now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You just
okay.
gotta push
Here
play. That's
I'm
all you gotta
gonna
do.
have
is hit
lunch.
play.
I'll be back after. Okay.
Louder. That's good.
Yep, that's
All right.
as loud as it gets.
Let's have a good earnings
That's
call.
good. That's good.
Okay,
I better turn it off though, because that music
Yeah,
is
I
going
don't
to
want
be
to get
copyrighted.
demonetized.
But at least we know it's working.
It's Muzak. There's no monetization on Muzak.
You think so?
I
No,
doubt
because it's not copyright. They wouldn't be able to
They wouldn't
play
do
it if it's copyright. They're going to buy copyright for themselves. I think
No,
you're
Tesla
relatively
could.
safe.
They can do it. You can play whatever you want if it's copyright, as long as you're not monetizing it.
Yeah. I see.
Oh, I see. What
Wait,
you're
he's giving
saying.
you another $100? I mean, come on, we're at $350
Come
now.
on.
Are you
How's that
kidding? No,
something?
seriously? Okay, well then I'll
10,000.
I'll
There
send it to
are
you guys. I
1,
will.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us. $700, mate.
Keep on going, Farzad. Keep
This
on going, Farzad.
Is the
We are-
champagne room of Tesla broadcast.
Bottle
on
of wine,
going.
Larry. Okay, we got to buy
Actually,
a
it's
bottle of wine.
not champagne. It's not champagne. This is a
Let's
very
go for my
fine French
California
wine,
wine.
actually. No, this is a very fine French wine.
It's from the
Yes,
French Laundry.
Let's do a shout out to Elon. Liv Pareto was a big deal. He answered her 10 questions. And
That was so cute.
15-year-old who passed
Oh,
away.
yeah,
but
that's
Elon
amazing.
answered her
Yeah.
questions.
Yeah,
That was
so
special.
sad, such a sad story.
Yeah, but he really saved the story. I think he made those parents very happy in a very difficult moment.
Well, it's a very difficult man, yeah.
So we will, yes, of course, DRK. We'll have to buy you. Oh, shit.
Another $100. I can't believe it. Keep on going. Keep on going.
DRK. And what about the mods? Yeah, you're right. You're right.
This is the last one. Leave me
We owe
alone.
you. We owe you.
No. Keep on going.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
Faza, that means you're stiffing me and Tesla Boomer Mama and
right.
Nick.
I feel left out.
Another one.
Can I
Keep
give
on
into
going.
it? How do I add to it? I want to give $100. It's contagious. How do we do this?
Okay, with
You
1
go
minute
on
to go,
YouTube and you pay.
do we have any
I'm-
update on the lawsuit Elon Musk against OpenAI, Scam Altman?
No,
Yeah,
they
Scam
are
Altman
starting with
said-
a jury selection.
All right,
But he
we should
said
be
today
starting.
that Sam Altman said literally that he's very worried Elon's going to drop the case. He literally said that.
Yeah, but he's
He cannot be trusted. He's a pathological.
What he meant was, right. What he meant was, I don't want Elon to drop the case because then I want to have my chance to tell the story. What he's saying.
Mhm.
Before
Yeah,
the
I'll
earnings
wait and
call
tell your
starts,
story.
before the
This
earnings
whole-
call starts, we're at 401. Let's see what happens after.
We were at 403.
I know. I just want to be honest here before it starts. 401. So
I'm focused on the Avis stock right now.
Oh,
I'm focused on how
Down
many
$300
$99
today.
that pays.
Unbelievable. Classic.
Yeah, but Uber should be down too, right? I mean, this is the end.
Farzad said he's out of money, but if he buys a fleet of cybercabs, he can make his
Thank
money
you,
back.
Hadouken. For sure.
All right.
Okay.
Herbert, you're gonna spoil
Yes.
us so much. Thank you so much.
I have to send tips to Hadouken and DRK. I do have
forget-
mods. You see, my mods took care of everything. You guys, oh my God. All right.
God. Is this it? No,
Not yet.
It felt like it was it.
Oh, and all these other people jumping in. Thank you so much for helping Herbert get even richer.
Not true. Thank you.
I just want you to buy me a drink when we meet one day.
We
and
have to
hug
meet
each
one
other
day.
for once.
You bet, buddy.
Yeah. Every time I'm in Seattle, you bail on me.
I will take care of. Oh, what? What?
Your excuse
Yeah,
last
well.
week is the Super Bowl.
Oh my gosh, look at that. There's somebody else at $99. I mean, you people are
What?
crazy.
Okay,
This
so
is
this
no-
person's
it's
chipping in for Farzad. Okay, so that gives us.
now.
Oh my God. Okay, wait. What's going on? Stop it, guys.
Who's
You
gonna
need to
drop
scale it down.
1,000? Let's get 1,000. Come on, let's go to 4 figures. If you drop
I'm just gonna have to
1,000,
pay all of you. All
I'm
right,
gonna start
thank
taking
you,
my shirt
everybody.
off. You know, we're gonna get this party going.
All right, well let's wait to see what happens with the earnings call. Oh, God, it sounds like
This
it's
is
gonna
your
be
most tipped stream ever, right?
good. People don't usually tip.
Herbert,
they
we're gonna start an
tip
OnlyFans next. Let's go.
James.
Yes.
I said they tip James. They don't tip
Oh,
me
no.
so much.
Shout out to Nick Gibbs and Larry drinking wine. Nick about to take his shirt off and
I'm
go on
empty
his
already.
OF account.
I'm empty, so this
Oh,
is my excuse.
Somebody
if
told me
anything
to click live on the stream. Yeah, okay. I'm live. Thank you. Thank you.
happens. Hey, I didn't even know you could do that. That's great.
No, I knew it, but thank you. Click live.
Well, they're late. They're never
Everybody's
late.
telling me to click live.
Anyway.
Okay, I did it.
back to Nick saying that this is one of the best earnings, at least decks we've seen. I really agree. It's a perfect setup for the future.
Yeah.
So I think we should, emphasize.
More importantly,
that.
like I said, they themselves are saying that 2026 is looking a good setup. So as long as macro.
I mean, just and sorry you weren't here for the beginning, sir, unless you were listening in. But talk about a setup.
Evening, everyone,
Okay.
and welcome
Oh,
to
here we
Tesla's
go.
first quarter
Let's do this.
2026 Q&A
Sacamos.
webcast. My name is Travis Axelrod, Head of Investor Relations, and I'm joined today by Elon Musk, Vaibhav Taneja, and a number of other executives. Our Q1 results were announced at about 3 p.m. Central Time in the update deck we published at the same link as this webcast. During this call, we will discuss our business outlook and make forward-looking statements. These comments are based on our predictions and expectations as of today. Actual events or results could differ materially due to a number of risks and uncertainties, including those mentioned in our most recent filings with the SEC. During the question and answer portion of today's call, please limit yourself to one question and one follow-up. Please use the raise hand button to join the question queue. Before we jump into Q&A, Elon has some opening remarks. Elon?
Thank you. So I think we've got a very exciting year ahead of us with 2026. We're going to be substantially increasing our investments in the future. So should expect to see a very significant increase in capital expenditures. But I think well justified for a substantially increased future revenue stream. And obviously Tesla's not alone in this. I think you've seen in most, if not all, certainly the major technology companies substantially increasing their capital investments. And we're going to be doing the same. I think it's going to pay off in a very big way. So we're investing in and improving our core technologies, battery powertrain, AI software, AI training, chip design, manufacturing, laying the groundwork for significantly increased manufacturing production. We are also strengthening our supply chain across the board, batteries, energy, AI silicon, everything. And laying the groundwork, like I said, for what we expect to be a significant increase in vehicle production in the future. And of course, a very significant increase, actually releasing Optimus, but increasing our internal production for testing, and then probably being able to have Optimus be useful outside of Tesla sometime next year. As you've heard me say a few times, I think Optimus will be our biggest product, not just Tesla's biggest product ever, but probably the biggest product ever. And I remain convinced of that conclusion. So on our vehicle side, it's always, I think, worth noting that a Tesla car is incredible value for money, and they're all autonomy ready, depending on what part of the world you're in. The supervised full self-driving is getting extremely good. We have just started production of Cybercab, and we'll begin production of our semi-truck soon. Now, I should say, whenever you have a new product with a completely new supply chain, new everything, it's always a stretched out S-curve. So you should expect that initial production of Cybercab and Semi will be very slow, but then ramping up and going kind of exponential towards the end of the year and certainly next year. And in fact, we'll be ramping up production of all vehicles in all factories to the best of our ability through the balance of this year. On the energy front, the United States and the whole world will need a lot of energy storage to meet growing electricity demand. Demand for our Megapack is very strong, and we're excited to begin production of Megapack 3 later this year in our new world-class factory outside Houston. For full self-driving and robotaxi, version 14.3 was a major architectural update, and we have a whole pipeline of major improvements to full self-driving that we believe will lead to unsupervised full self-driving being available anywhere in the world that it is legal to do so. And then there's a version 15, hopefully hopefully by the end of this year, but certainly by early next year. And that will be a complete overhaul of the software architecture, and will run on AI4. And that at that point we're really just increasing the safety level of FSD above human safety level even more. Meaning, I think even within version 14, we're significantly safer than human, but B15 will take that to another level. We've expanded robotaxi to Dallas and Houston using the same software as Austin and the Bay Area. And the limiting factor for expansion is really rigorous validation, making sure things are completely safe. We don't want to have a single accident or injury with the expansion of robotaxi, and we have, to the credit of the team, not had a single one to date. And then Optimus, we're preparing Fremont for start of production later this year with Optimus. Again, totally new supply chain, totally new technology. So therefore, it's, the production S-curve is always very slow in the beginning, but we'll ramp up to significant numbers next year. And we're constructing a second Optimus factory at our Giga Texas location, and that will probably start production around summer next year. The V3 Optimus design is almost ready to demonstrate. I think we want to just make sure it's like polished. Like it works functionally, but there's some aesthetic elements that need to be finalized. And I think probably middle of this year, we should be able to show it off. We're also a little hesitant to show V3 off because we find our competitors do a frame by frame analysis whenever we release something and copy everything they possibly can. So I think there's some value to, not showing new technology until it's close to production. Congratulations again to the Tesla AI chip team for taping out AI5. That's going to be a great chip. I think probably the best AI inference chip for edge compute that exists. And certainly, I think unequivocally the best value for money. Team did a great job, and we're already have a lot of momentum for designing AI6, and we've begun to discuss ideas for Dojo 3. So this is all very exciting. We've also finalized plans for the chip fab, the research chip fab on the Giga Texas campus, and we'll start construction of that this year. In conclusion, Tesla is working on a lot of large, ambitious projects. They're all very, very challenging, but I think they're going to be revolutionary. And this is what the team does best: solve the hardest problems and build amazing products. And I'd like to thank the Tesla team for all the hard work, and thank you to all of our supporters.
Great. Thank you very much, Elon. And Vaibhav also has some opening remarks.
Thanks, Travis. So 2026 has had an interesting start, not just for us, but I think the world in general. On the autos business, we have seen a resurgence in demand in EMEA and certain countries like France and Germany showing over 150% quarter-over-quarter growth in deliveries. In APAC, we witnessed growth in South Korea and Japan, again in terms of deliveries. Even out here in the US, we've seen a slight growth in terms of quarter deliveries. On the order backlog front, we ended the quarter with the highest Q1 order backlog in over 2 years. Whilst the recent increase in gas prices has had a positive impact on the order rate, this improvement started before the uptrend in gas prices. This is due to the work done by the Tesla team in bringing more compelling and affordable vehicles to market. 10 years back, when we launched Model 3 in the US with a promise of $35,000 starting price, which if you adjust today for inflation translates to about $48,000 in today's dollar terms, the starting price of Model 3 today is way less than that, while the product is way more compelling from where it started. Given this setup, we're focused on increasing our overall production volume, something that we already started in Q1. This volume increase is evidenced by the Giga Berlin reaching a record output of over 61,000 units in Q1. We plan to keep growing volumes further, not just in Berlin, but across all our factories. Our biggest limiter continues to be our battery pack capacity, and we are actively working on resolving that. Auto margins, excluding credits, improved sequentially from 17.9 to 19.2%. Note that we've had certain one-time benefits from warranty true downs around $230 million, and some relief on tariffs. We have not realized any benefit from the recent Supreme Court ruling on IPA tariffs, as there is still a lot of uncertainty around the final outcome. Both tariffs and sustained high interest rates continue to add to our automotive cost. Interest rate subvention costs are recognized upfront. If interest rates continue to rise, our cost of subvention will continue to impact auto margins. On the FSD adoption front, we continue to see improvement, reaching nearly 1.3 million paid customers globally. The bulk of the growth came from subscriptions, while upfront purchases only increased 7% as we removed the purchase option in some markets in Q1. We recently received approvals for FSD in Netherlands. This sets up us well for a EU-wide approval later in Q2, and we're just gated by how the regulators go about it. Additionally, we've also received approvals in China. The broader approval is still not there, but we're working with the regulators in the country, and we're hoping that we can get approval by Q3. With these approvals coming through, we expect the broader adoption of the software in the existing fleet and incremental demand for our vehicles. With all this in mind, we have evolved our vehicle sales strategy, where we now emphasize FSD as a product and vehicle as only the delivery mechanism. As we have noted previously, the energy storage business is inherently lumpy, tied to customer deployment timelines. In Q1, we deployed 8.8 gigawatt hour of energy storage, a 38% sequential decline. However, we still expect 2026 deployments to be higher than 2025. We set yet another record with gross margins in this business over 39.5% due to some one-time benefits from certain tariff recognitions of more than $250 million from certain tariffs which we had paid in prior quarters. On a normalized basis, we continue to expect energy compression from here with increasing competition and tariff impacts. As previously discussed, tariffs in this business can have outsized impacts as most of the battery cells are procured from China. Our order backlog for this business is robust, and we're doing our best to build not just based on existing demand, but also on expected demand. Services and others improved sequentially from 8.8% to 9.2%. This includes a collection of efforts meant to support our customers like service centers, used cars, paid supercharging, part sales, insurance, and even our robotaxi business. We're making deliberate investments in the infrastructure to help the robotaxi in the future. We grew the robotaxi fleet quarter over quarter, and we expect to keep ramping the fleet as we accelerate and get into other geographies. On operating expenses side, we did increase sequentially from a full quarter stock-based compensation expense for the 2025 CEO compensation plan, for which one milestone is still deemed probable. Additionally, our spend on AI-related initiatives, including expense on development of our own AI-5 chip and new products like CyberCab, Semi, Optimus, and MegaBlock, etc., continue to be at elevated levels, and we expect this trend to continue for the full year 2026. Net income was impacted from mark-to-market charges on our Bitcoin holdings, which depreciated 22% as compared to the last quarter, and the unfavorable impact of FX primarily from our large intercompany borrowings. On free cash flow, we ended the quarter with just over $1.4 billion. As Elon mentioned, we are in a very big capital investment phase, which is going to start now and would last a couple of years. So based on that, our current expectation for 2026 is over $25 billion of CapEx. And just to remind you, we are paying for 6 factories which were going to go into operation. Some have already started, some would go into operation later part of this year. We're further increasing our investment in AI-related initiatives, including the AI infrastructure to support robotaxi and the launch of Optimus. We've already started placing orders for the research semiconductor fab in Austin and for solar manufacturing equipment. While this may seem a lot, and will have the impact of negative free cash flow for the rest of the year, we believe this is the right strategy to position the company for the next era. We'll make such investments in a very capital efficient manner. We're actively working on a mission of building a future of amazing abundance. However, that requires not just a lot of investment, but an immense amount of execution. The future is going to be great, and the whole Tesla team is rising to the occasion to make this a reality. I would like to end by thanking the Tesla team, our customers, investors, and vendors for having confidence in us on this journey. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Vaibhav. Now we're going to go to investor questions, starting with a question from say.com. The first question is, when will we have the Optimus 3 reveal, which we already touched on. But the rest of the question is, when will Optimus production start, since we ended the Model X and S production earlier than mid-year? And then what's the expected Optimus production rate exiting this year, and what are the initial targeted skills?
Well, as I was saying, what we found is that when we've unveiled various Optimus versions, we found out how competitors literally do a frame-by-frame analysis and copy everything we're doing. So I think we want to push the Optimus 3 unveil maybe closer to production. Start of production is, we're assuming, is somewhere around the late July, August timeframe. I mean, just to inject some reality into these questions, since these questions are not, whoever did this question does not fully understand what happens with the production line. The last SX production will be in early May, but you have to look at the entire upstream portion of the production line. So you have to start with, cells, battery packs, motor production, all the parts production. And so we've been dismantling the SX production line, from the more base level parts, the more basic level parts, to, as you get to more larger sub-assemblies, you start dismantling the line from the small parts first, not from the final assembly first. So the final assembly line will that'll be dismantled next month, and after the last of the SX vehicles done. Now you can't dismantle some gigantic production line like overnight. It takes at least a few months to do so, and then you've got to install a new production line, and you've got to provide all of the wiring and communication, test out the machines of the new production line for Optimus. So that also takes several months. So frankly, if we were able to go from stopping production on one line, dismantling that entire line, reinstalling a whole new line, and turning that on in a matter of 4 months, that is an insanely fast speed. I don't think any other company on Earth has ever done that before. Just to put things into perspective and inject some reality into the situation here. I don't know what the production rate of Optimus will be this year. It is impossible to predict these things. When you have a brand new product and an entirely new production line, and you have 10,000 unique items, all of which have to go right to ramp production, it'll move as fast as the least lucky, slowest, dumbest part in the entire 10,000. And this is Optimus is a completely new product with a completely new production line. So it's just literally impossible to predict. Except that I think it will be quite slow at first, as we iron out the 10,000 plus unique items that have to be sold for Optimus to reach volume production. Initial skills will be obviously we're going to start with simple skills in the factory, and then build up from there.
Great. Thank you, Elon. The next question is, what milestones are you targeting for unsupervised FSD and robotaxi expansion beyond Austin this year, and how will that drive recurring revenue?
Well, we certainly hope to have unsupervised FSD or slash robotaxi operating, in, I don't know, a dozen or so states by the end of this year. Initially, we're taking it we're taking a very cautious approach to the rollout here. Like we haven't had any injuries and certainly no fatalities to date with the unsupervised FSD and robotaxi expansion. We want to keep it that way, and so I think probably unsupervised FSD or robotaxi revenue will not be super material this year, but I do think it will be material. It'll be material probably in a significant way next year.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is, when do you expect FSD unsupervised to reach customer cars?
I'm just guessing here, but probably in the fourth quarter. It's difficult to release this like to everyone everywhere all at once, because we do want to make sure that they're not unique situations in a city that, particularly complex intersection, or actually they tend to be places where people get into accidents a lot, because they're just perhaps there's like I said, an unsafe intersection or bad road markings, or a lot of weather challenges. So I think we would release unsupervised gradually to the customer fleet, but as we feel like a particular geography is confirmed to be safe.
Great. And the next question is, how will Hardware 3 cars reach unsupervised FSD?
Unfortunately, Hardware 3, I wish it were otherwise, but Hardware 3 simply does not have the capability to achieve unsupervised FSD. We did think at one point it would have that, but relative to Hardware 4, it has only 1/8 of the memory bandwidth of Hardware 4. And memory bandwidth is one of the key elements needed for unsupervised FSD. And it's just generally a thing that's needed for AI. If you're doing an autoregressive transformer, memory bandwidth is the choke point. So for customers that have bought FSD, what we're offering is essentially a trade-in, like a discounted trade-in for cars that have AI4 hardware, and we'll also be offering the ability to upgrade the car to replace the computer, and you also need to replace the cameras, unfortunately, to go to Hardware 4. So to do this efficiently, we're going to have to set up like kind of micro factories or small factories in major metropolitan areas in order to do it efficiently. Because if it's done just at the service center, it is extremely slow to do so and inefficient. So we basically need like many production lines to make the change. I do think over time it's going to make sense for us to convert all Hardware 3 cars to Hardware 4, because that's what enables them to enter the robotaxi fleet and have unsupervised FSD.
And for what it's worth, in the meantime, we're going to also release a V14 version for hardware 3. This will be a distilled version of the same V14 software that we released for hardware 4. And people should be able to start the drives from park state and basically have all the features that V14 for hardware 4 has. And that's expected to come end of June.
Great. Thank you very much. The next question is, what enabled you to finish the AI5 tape out early? And were there any changes to the original vision? Last week, Elon said AI5 will go into Optimus and the supercomputer, but 1 month ago said it would go into the robotaxi. Has AI5 been dropped from the vehicle roadmap?
Well, the reason AI5 tape out finished early was because the team worked incredibly hard to make it happen. And just over time, we gathered a lot of momentum. But we did have to work every weekend for 6 months straight, including every holiday. So it was a lot of sacrifice by the team, and I was there, of course, myself every weekend. Fortunately, we didn't encounter any major. We didn't make any major mistakes at least that we're aware of, that required pushing out the tape out. So the team just did a great job and worked incredibly hard is the reason. Yeah, I do expect that AI5 will go into Optimus and into the data center because it's looking like we'll be able to achieve unsupervised self-driving with AI4 that is far greater than human safety levels. So, which means it's certainly not immediately needed in the car. At some point, I think it will make sense for us to switch to AI5 in the car, but but there's not a pressing issue to do so. But at some point, the AI4 hardware is going to get like so old that it's like, okay, the only reason they keep in the factory open is for AI4. We are planning an AI4 upgrade to use newer generation RAM. So it'll go from 16 gigabytes to I think 32 gigabytes per SoC, so a total of 64 gigabytes, and probably a 10% increase in compute in sort of into trillions of operations per second and in memory bandwidth. So that's AI 4.1 or AI 4 Plus probably goes into production middle of next year, I think. Depends. It's depends on Samsung's doing the modifications for us, so it sort of depends on when they're able to finish those modifications and bring it to production.
Great. The next question is, now that FSD has been approved in the Netherlands and is expected to launch across Europe this summer, can you discuss your robotaxi strategy for the region?
Well, we're probably jumping the gun here on robotaxi in Europe, since it is took us an immense amount of time just to get supervised self-driving approved in Europe. And these we don't control the regulators. It's we push as hard as we can, but it's ultimately up to the governments in Europe and the EU to decide what to do. Yeah, as it is, we've only been approved in the Netherlands. We expect to be approved in a lot of other countries. And I think the supervised FSD goes to Brussels for EU review in May. Yeah. So obviously, then the next thing beyond that is to aim for unsupervised self-driving or robotaxi in Europe. I actually don't know what the time frame for that is. and would be somewhat at the mercy of the regulators as to when that approval would take place.
And from a technology standpoint, what we deployed in Netherlands and Europe is the same exact architecture and the training procedure and so on, except it had more Europe data. And I suspect the same thing will be true for unsupervised FSD as well. Whatever we use to solve in the US will work in other places in the rest of the world too, provided we were able to add the data from the local regions.
Great. The next question is, given the recent NHTSA incident filings, can you update us on the robo-taxi safety data? If safety validation remains the primary bottleneck, why not deploy thousands of vehicles to accelerate removal of the safety driver?
Yeah, Shark, do you want to take that?
Yeah, we are increasing the amount of our QA fleet, but we also want to use the customer fleet to give us the useful metrics back so that we can scale it safely. Like Iran mentioned, we are absolutely focused on safety, and so far we have 0 incidents, and that's what the NHTSA filing also shows. In addition to safety, we are also solving some of these so-called scaling issues. For example, you do not want the robotaxi to be stuck blocking intersections, or don't want to be dropping people off at slightly incorrect locations and so on. So we are simultaneously solving the long tail of safety by monitoring the metrics across the entire Tesla customer vehicle fleet, which are is close to driving 10 billion miles on FSD in the next few weeks, and also scaling up the amount of QA fleet that we have across the entire US to accelerate our safety validation, while also scaling the rest of the factors that can, throttle the increase of unsupervised vehicles.
All right. The next question is V14.3 still the last piece of the puzzle to enable large-scale unsupervised FSD and robotaxi, or do we have to wait until V15?
Well, no, I think 14.3 is last piece of the puzzle for unsupervised FSD. Now the question is like degrees of safety, like how safety and convenience, I suppose. We have a lot of known improvements, like major architectural improvements that we know would improve the probability of safety significantly. So I think it's not going to make sense for us to deploy, unsupervised FSD or robotaxi at large scale when we know that there are major architectural improvements to the software that can improve safety. So I think we're going to want to finish writing that software, validate it, and release it before going to large scale unsupervised FSD. Depending on what large scale means. I mean, we are of course, as I mentioned earlier, doing unsupervised FSD in 3 cities, and we'll expand to, like I said, probably a dozen states or more later this year. So kind of depends on what your definition of large scale is. But
Yeah,
I do think it wouldn't be right for us to go to like very large scale unsupervised FSD when we know that there are software improvements in the pipeline that would improve safety.
Yep, and I'd like to note that the version of robotaxi that's running in Austin, Dallas, Houston, etc., those are essentially 14.3 variants, and it's obviously safe. That's why we're able to launch in those cities, and we continue to expand based on the V14.3 base for a while until V15 lands, and V15 is going to be a major upgrade.
Great, thank you. The next 2 questions we've already answered about robotaxi rollout and the data that we're observing. So we will end on the last question, which is, what is Tesla doing to scale the energy generation business with solar? Residential roof deployments have stalled. Will Tesla move to regional solar and battery farms, perhaps coupled to superchargers? Will we deploy solar through utilities?
Yeah,
The overall U.S. residential solar market is going through a bit of a correction after the loss of the homeowner tax credit last year, but we still see strong demand shaping up for the second half of the year. Tesla introduced a lease product this year that allows us to capture the tax credit ourselves and offer competitive pricing for homeowners. We've also debuted our own solar panel with superior performance and aesthetics, as well as our own best-in-class mounting system that gives us a fully integrated home energy ecosystem. We strongly believe that solar and storage markets globally will continue to grow at both residential and utility scale, and we will continue to invest in that growth.
Great. Thank you, Mike. So now we're going to move on to analyst questions. The first question is going to come from Will Stein at Truist. Will, please feel free to unmute yourself when you're ready.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Great. Thanks for taking my question. Considering the various parties involved in the TerraFab project, I'm hoping you can provide some details for investors about which party is going to take responsibility for each aspect of that project, funding it, designing it, building it, operating, taking production, and the like. We'd love to hear some more details.
Yeah, so we're still working out the details of the TerraFab deployment. In the near term, Tesla will be building the research fab on our Giga Texas campus. This is something we expect to be probably, a $3 billion-ish initiative, and capable of maybe a few thousand wafers per month. But it's really intended to try out ideas, the research fab, both in terms of maybe we have some ideas for improving the fundamental technology of how chips are made, and there's some new physics we'd like to test out. But we also want to test out the ability to see if something is working in production. So you need kind of like a few thousand wafer starts a month to make sure that a production process is sound. And then SpaceX is going to take care of like the initial phase of the scaled up TerraFab. That's what we've figured out thus far. Any kind of intracompany thing has to be approved by both the SpaceX and Tesla board of directors. It's got to go through a conflict resolution. It's going to have unfortunately, a lot of complexity because we've got to make sure Tesla shareholders are served and SpaceX shareholders are served and strike the right balance there. So it takes a while to work through the kind of independent director reviews on this. So that's basically what we've figured out thus far is Tesla's doing the research fab, SpaceX doing the initial part of the large-scale TerraFab, and then we got to figure out the rest.
Yeah. And what about Intel's involvement?
So Intel is excited to partner with us on some of the core manufacturing technologies. So we plan to use Intel's 14A process, which is state of the art and in fact not yet totally complete. But given that by the time TerraFab scales up, 14A will be probably fairly mature or ready for prime time. 14A seems like the right move. And we have a great relationship with Intel. A lot of respect for the CEO, the CTO, and the new team there. So we think it's going to be a great partnership.
Yeah, and the other thing on the research fab, I think we've said it before, we plan to do memory, logic, everything in the same place, including mask. because we want to have a quick iteration loop so that we can see and basically scale the technologies which we're trying to bring up.
Yeah, I think this will be unique in the world, or at least I'm not aware of any a place where you have the lithography mask creation, and then logic, memory, and packaging in under one roof in one building. That's about the fastest I could possibly imagine doing recursive research and development, and being able to try out some pretty radical ideas, some of which have it's kind of long shot stuff, but if some of these long shots pan out, would be radical improvements in the way chips work.
Great. The next question is going to come from Pierre at New Street. Pierre, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Hey, thanks a lot for taking my question. A quick one first on FSD adoption. So you have 180,000 new users, paying users this quarter, and I compare that to your overall install base. It might be 15%, but then if I shrink that to the US or to North America, where most of them are, it's probably more like 30-35%. And I compare that, you probably sold about 100,000 cars in North America in the quarter. So you're winning twice more FSD users and you're selling cars. And then if I add to that picture the fact that I guess it's mostly hardware for owners who subscribe to FSD, it sounds like most drivers in North America who have hardware for would already be using FSD. Is that the right way to think about it? And the kind of like success FSD is meeting today, is that the right way to think about it?
Yeah, I think you're thinking about it the right way, Pierre. And the other thing which I'll share is that, you can't just look at one quarter versus the other quarter in terms of churn, but we are actually seeing churn of subscribers also coming down, which again is a reflection of the product is getting better. And obviously, if subscriptions are going up, that is a good metric. The other thing also to note is that we are seeing customers actually drive longer, which again, you could correlate it. That's why you have lesser churn, because people are liking the product. And I've said this before, if I just use my own personal behavior, right? I literally get in the car, I press a button, and it just goes. And earlier I used to park, now I don't even have to park. And that is the experience which we want everybody to get. And that's why you're starting seeing it in the numbers come through.
Excellent, thank you. And if I may, maybe a quick follow-up, completely different. It's more on the Optimus architecture. And you talked about the partnership with XAI and Grok. And I was wondering if you can share with us anything about how the system to intelligence is going to be implemented. Is that going to be on board on chips inside Optimus, or if we should think about like your fleet of like 1 million Optimus being produced a year, actually driving very significant inference demand in data centers as well for system to thinking?
Well, we think we can put a lot of intelligence locally in the robot, and certainly needs to be enough intelligence that if the robot gets disconnected, like if it's a bad cellular signal or there isn't Wi-Fi, Optimus can't just get stuck. It needs to have enough local intelligence that it can still do useful things, even if it loses the connection. Kind of like the car. Like the car does not need any cellular or Wi-Fi connection to be able to drive safely. Now, I guess you can think of like Optimus needs kind of a manager to tell it what to do. Broadly speaking, like if otherwise it's going to keep doing the same thing it did before. So, I think you need kind of an orchestration AI, which Grok would be good for orchestration, and then for Optimus's voice, having a low latency, intelligent voice AI, Grok is actually very good for that. So if you want to talk to Optimus and have kind of a a Grok level conversation, you kind of need to connect to a Grok level AI for that. But I would expect the amount of interaction, apart from like the voice stuff and asking complicated questions of the robot that necessarily needs a large AI model to answer. The Gronk would probably have about as much interaction with Optimus as a manager would have with the people on their team. So meaning Optimus could probably work for several hours without any management oversight.
Great. The next question is going to come from Dan at Barclays. Dan, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Great. Good evening. Thank you for taking questions. Elon, your chip suppliers generally generate pretty good economics on the chip they sell. Your approach has historically been on vertical integration. Part of that has been to get better economics. So I know the longer term goal of Terafab is to get the supply you need, but how much of Terafab is also motivated to get better economics on your midterm chip purchases? And how long is it going to take to ramp to get to a yield that achieves that type of economic parity?
No, I mean, Terafab is not some sort of mechanism to generate leverage over our chip suppliers. It's just literally we don't see a path to having enough a sufficient quantity of AI chips down the road as we scale production to high levels. Just the rate at which the industry is growing in logic, but even more so in memory, is just doesn't. We just anticipate hitting the wall if we don't make chips ourselves. So that's the reason for the Terafab. I think that we do have some ideas for how to make maybe radically better AI chips. And these are kind of research ideas that are, which means like long shot, but if long shot pays off, it's maybe a giant improvement. And it's just easier to do that if we have our own research fab and are developing our own production technologies. So, and if you look sort of long term at, say having AI satellites, making chips for those, there's no way in hell the existing industry can keep up with that. It's impossible.
All right, and our next question is going to come from Mark at Goldman Sachs. Mark, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Yes, good afternoon. Thank you very much for taking my question. I recognize the importance of FSD and that FSD can help to drive vehicle sales, and nice to see some of the improvements in the FSD technology more recently with version 14. However, I'm also hoping to understand if the company's view on new vehicle models has evolved. And I ask, given that Elon, you posted on X recently that Tesla could develop a family vehicle. There's also been some past discussion about a compact vehicle.
Well, I mean, Cybercab is the compact vehicle. It's actually, I mean, it's very roomy, but it's a two-person vehicle. And we do think probably most of our production long term will be Cybercab because 90% of miles driven are with one or two people. So it would mean that you'd want the vast majority of your production to be Cybercab. But over time, it's going to make sense for our whole lineup to be autonomous vehicles of different sizes. And I did talk a bit about this when we did the kind of AI day in LA at Warner Brothers, and showed like this is our current lineup, and this is what some idea of what our future lineup will be, which is that it's going to be almost entirely autonomous. In fact, long term, the only manually driven car will be the new Tesla Roadster. Speaking of which, we may be able to debut that in a month or so. It requires a lot of testing and validation before we can actually have a demo and not, have something go wrong with the demo. But I think it will be one of the most exciting product unveils ever. I'm not sure. I don't think it moves the needle massively from a revenue standpoint. But it is very cool. Um, I think it might be one of the most spectacular demos ever.
All right, Mark, did you have a follow-up question?
Yeah, thanks, Travis. My other question was on batteries, and the company mentioned batteries as a constraint on its growth. Can you speak more to how Tesla expects to resolve this, and to what extent that might come from ramping up your own LFP and 4680 battery cell manufacturing, or is this something that you'd expect to resolve primarily with increased sourcing from suppliers? Thank you.
Yeah, so at the moment, I think the limiter is not the cells itself, it's the battery pack capacity. And, we're, like I said in my opening remarks, we're actively working on resolving this. There's more capacity being added as we speak, and I'll let Lars add a few more things to it.
Yeah, thanks, Vaibhav. As you guys may have seen in Berlin, we started launching a Model Y battery pack with our in-house 4680 cells a few months ago, and that is ramping up nicely, adding to Berlin's output and helping with the demand surge that we've seen in Europe. As well, we're adding additional capacity in our Reno facility, sort of retooling it as it's been building packs now for, almost 10 years. And in order to put in some more efficient lines and get, additional output out there. And then, we continue to have growth in China as well, ramping in-house LFP module production and battery packs associated with that. So all of those things are happening now and in the next months. And that's, really plans we laid out a few months back to increase that output with the growing demand.
All right, thank you guys. And our next analyst is going to be Colin from Wells Fargo. Colin, please feel free to unmute yourself.
Oh, great. Thanks for taking my questions. You moved the safety driver in Austin, and you're now expanding in Dallas and Houston. What are the key safety metrics that you're tracking that gives you confidence that robotaxi is safe enough to expand? Is it sort of miles per intervention, miles per accident, per fatality, and where do you stand on that now?
Yeah, we track basically all the metrics that you mentioned. We have a pretty large QA fleet spread across all of the United States, and then we, look at any intervention that could happen, and then sort of simulate both in practice and also in our simulators that are very, very good nowadays using neural networks as what would have happened. And then based on all these analysis, we in the end make the call to expand. And so far, all of the expansions have gone according to our expectations.
Yeah, I should say, like a lot of what limits wider deployment of robotaxi are actually not safety issues, but convenience issues, or the car basically gets paranoid and gets stuck. Like sometimes it gets, because it's programmed for maximum safety. So the problem is that then it sometimes just gets scared to do things. So
Yeah.
like it sometimes gets scared to cross railroads, for example, or it'll get stuck at a light where there's the light never changes from red. Or I mean, there was one kind of amusing situation where a whole bunch of robotaxis got stuck in the left turn lane in Austin because, I kid you not, a Waymo had crashed into a bus. And so they could not turn left because the Waymo had crashed into the bus. And so you had this like long line of like, I don't know, a dozen or more Tesla robotaxis that were waiting for the bus to move, but the bus was never going to move because the Waymo has crashed into the bus. So that obviously drives people crazy if there's a whole bunch of robotaxis blocking the whole road. So it's a ton of things like that. That's the single biggest thing is just the car being scared to move or getting kind of stuck in situations like that. We've also had literal infinite loops where the car might want to make a turn into a road, but there's construction
and then it goes around the block, tries to turn into the road with construction, goes around the block, tries to turn the road. And and so you have to stop the infinite looping, the literal infinite looping. So those are actually, and those are by far the issues that we have to resolve, as opposed to direct safety issues.
Got it.
Great.
And then
did you have a follow-up, Colin?
just last year I asked about, FSD and camera and the issues with sun glare, and you noted that there was a breakthrough with direct photon counting that addressed this issue. But a month ago, there was a NHTSA filing saying that they haven't received an update when the solution was deployed and the number of vehicles. Did it require a retrofit of the camera? Is this fully deployed? I guess I was just curious since the filing mentioned it.
Yeah, first I want to say we did, change the cameras some months ago, and those are out. And the NHTSA filing is referring to like older vehicles. We always work directly with NHTSA on all of the issues that they raise with us, and they're asking for quite a bit of information, and we're complying with that in as timely a manner as possible. And so we expect to resolve that and any of the other investigations in short order.
Yeah, and we have also implemented stricter measures for the visibility of the camera. So in recent software builds, if the camera is not able to see things clearly because of residue buildup or whatever, then the FSD won't be available for those cars.
It just needs you have to clean the inside of the windscreen.
Great. That unfortunately is all the time we have today. We appreciate everyone's questions, and we look forward to talking to you next quarter. Thank you very much, and goodbye.
Where is Herbert? Herbert, put that camera on.
I'm here.
There he is.
There he is.
Woo! Yeah, that was great. So, reactions, guys. Well, go ahead. What's your thinking?
I wouldn't call, a decline of $10 in the stock price great.
Well, okay. So, what's the reasons? It was a delay in robo-taxis?
It was them. It was them. They are pathetic. I hate to say it. It's just, we got to be honest. Their delivery is awful. Everything they say is awful. Their delivery, they can say the same things and just say it in a different way. To sit there and say, well, it depends what scale means. Mother effer,
I don't remember when it will.
is.
I don't remember when it will go in Europe. I was like, what?
Yeah. And I mean, like, don't sit here and say, well, it depends what scale means. Okay. Why don't you tell us what scale means? Quantify what it means.
No, okay, I disagree with you guys because this is what we want Elon to do. Stop saying dates and numbers when he doesn't know. And so now you can see about 4 times he actually did say, I really don't know. Somebody pointed out that last year he said we will have 5,000 Optimus by the end of this year. Now that he says 7%. We really can't, I don't care about the stock today.
No, but this is objective.
I mean, Nick has a point, Herbert, but you can't always say everything is good when it's not.
Yeah, Nick,
I'm not saying that. I prefer that he does not answer a question he does not know the answer to. We finally got him to do that.
But he
Nick,
did.
What do you want?
He still did.
What do you want? The stock price to go up when he talks? Is that what you want?
I don't care.
No, I don't.
No, I'm asking Nick. I'm asking Nick.
Yeah. This is a voting tool. Okay. Don't throw the scaling thing at me or weighing machine, all that. Look, here, this is objective. Okay. It's their delivery. For example, he said, we don't know. It depends what your idea of scale is. We're going to need V15, all this stuff. Okay. It's not, it depends what your definition of scale is. Define it for us. Define us what that means. You're an engineer. All right. Engineers use data. They use numbers. They don't talk in ambiguity. And that's what he's doing. That's what, I mean, the CFO, oh my goodness. Like the way everything they said, they could have said it in a whole different way. The earnings deck set them up for success.
Hold that. Sorry about that to interrupt
go
you,
for
but
it.
WaveF is always like that. I mean, you
I
can
know.
look at, I don't
I
know how
agree.
many, so he wasn't
Keep him off.
worse today. He wasn't better either, but he wasn't worse today than he was. I mean, you know, if you bring it down to what they actually said, 25 billion capex, that is 5 billion more than before. That means they have this quarter spent only 2.5. So they are for 3 quarters now, $22.5 billion to be
That's
spent.
exactly
That will obviously bring free cash flow way into the negatives. It's just not possible because you will have to deduct on average 9 billion every quarter. Well, 7.5 billion every quarter. So that's just not possible. So that's good. We have now a very clear expectation of 7.5 billion capex on average per quarter. I mean, this is just horrendously big.
But you know what, Alexandra?
And then,
if I go to you and I say, hey, Alexandra, I have your money and I'm going to spend more of it than what it is. And that's just what's going to happen. And I don't tell you, but here's the thing. Here's the ROI I expect on that revenue. Here's our plans for how we're going to spend that.
he did say that. He said it will come back very quickly. This is the best investment we can do now. And I mean, we all know what they're spending on, you know, Cortex 1. I mean, there are 7 factories going up. They're turning around production lines from cars to robots. They're trying to do that in short weeks.
Yeah.
So, you know, there is a lot of reason for this money, and we know exactly what this is for. But I agree with you. For somebody who is not like us on the topic of Tesla every day and can connect the dots, you listen to this and you go, oh my God, what a headache, that nothing's working, everything is late. And, you know, that's just the impression you get from what came out.
And I can sum up the call too. First of all, they did sound very low energy, which is normal. Second of all, the questions were not very exciting. Third, there was a whole bunch of dampeners, like the CapEx spend, 25 billion. Wall Street will go, oh God, no negative cash flow. That sucks. Then there was some delays. People thought they'd turn off the S and X line, and the next day the Optimus production line will be up. When they hear the 4 months, they thought that sucked as well. And then the safety, 14.3 versus 15 versus last piece of the puzzle versus why not everywhere. And then they talked about more safety, possibility of better software and a rewrite, and people are kind of confused. So they weren't altogether clear.
No,
and then
they weren't clear.
Yeah,
there
and
are
then
more questions than answers now.
And then there was a lot of disappointment because people are hoping for AI5 in cars. I think it's a good idea that AI4 is fine in cars. That means they'll be able to scale robotaxi now without waiting for AI5, which is good news. But people, they just disappointed over silly stuff. And then the hardware 3 stuff, and it's like it was no good news. The question should have been spun around the deck.
No,
and the positivity.
Wait,
maybe.
It's not the questions, it's the answers, the way they answer.
And Nick is right. I mean, the answer to the question of hardware 4 versus hardware 5 is, look, the great news is hardware 4 is going to do fine.
Enough.
We, as the cost of hardware 5 comes down, we may go to hardware 5, but hardware 4
That's how
is
you
going to
answer.
take us
you answer.
Sufficient, here it goes.
Yeah, but there was no good news. All they had to do was say the good news is the good news, but there was none of that. It was classic Tesla quarterly. You can see it every quarter. I mean, I spoke with
It's
Randy
not every
about
quarter,
this
though.
some time ago. Every time before the call, the stock goes up. In the call, the stock goes up. I mean, you can make so much money here.
I think we have to have a plan of sending them pizzas before whatever they have to eat before they do that. Because I mean, there's something
prior to this call. Prior to the call, I asked everybody here, what is the most important metric? And everybody said it's robotaxi. And what I heard from this call is that AI4 is good enough. We don't need to wait for AI5. That we are going to roll out to 12 states by the end of this year. And that there is no safety issues. In fact, the concern why we're taking slow is because of, number one, we don't want an accident. But two, it's like these operational things. That is the good news.
I vote for you to be in the call next quarter.
I'm just saying to you that is not the point.
Herbert,
that's what matters.
No, it's not. Because they didn't actually answer the question that people want to know around robotaxis. The way they answered it makes it seem like Austin.
What's the question?
I'm telling you. Okay. Let me speak. Dallas, Houston, Tampa, Orlando, all these cities are going to look like Austin.
Yeah.
And that's pathetic. That's no good. That's not usable. That's the problem.
What are you talking about?
That's the impression they left.
Well, and you have to understand, we come from 2 earnings calls ago, or 3 was it, saying, oh, by the end of the year, 2025, half of America
Hundreds of
will have it.
thousands.
The last time it was like we're doubling, what was it, every week or every month? But we're doubling all the time. Now we're to where we're actually
12 states.
in 12 states, 12
Who
cities.
cares if it's one car?
He said 12 states. He said 12 states.
If it's 12 states and one car, why does that matter? Who cares? It's irrelevant.
Well, it depends on what your definition of scale is. He got you confused when he meant
what's his
mass
definition?
scale. He's talking
no,
global.
but he's the CEO. All
talking
stops
global.
with him. He's the CEO.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have to interpret these questions.
Yeah. That part is
What
a
is
miscommunication
scale?
on his
I mean,
part.
we
but-
should really learn. The better the deck, the worse the call. There's just an inverse relation.
Just the way it works.
Well, if you want to know why the stock was up 5% and now it's down 1%, that's why. Right there.
Yeah. Now, the price that I love the most, which obviously gives them a lot of headaches, it was about TerraFab, which is this joint venture between SpaceX and Tesla. And he goes, oh, this difficulties now because now Tesla board has to decide which part Tesla is doing, which part SpaceX is doing, and that the Tesla shareholder is protected. I mean, I hear that, Larry. I go, please merge the thing.
Exactly. Thank you, Alexander. That was the point I made. I said, guys, you got to get beyond this. You can't run a TerraFab, which is going to be the biggest single project both companies have ever done. You cannot run it as 2 separate companies with all this stuff going on. Read my piece. I mean, it's very clear.
And you're completely right. And the thing is, I can just see the board having their responsibility. And you have to know there are some board members that are on the boards of both, right? What do they do now?
They are.
What do they do now? Whatever. And then you have obviously Tesla being the public company and having to answer to these big investment funds and whatever, and having to protect the Tesla shareholders. So what a headache. Merge the thing. Let's get over with this. The quicker, the better. I'm saying it again.
Well, I say we take over the quarterly call. That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Larry, can you
give us the
bar,
numbers,
please? I'm ready.
I think there's a couple of things to kind of look at from the call. One is on the CapEx. I think the stock took a hit as soon as they said we're going free cash flow negative, and we're actually going to spend $5 billion more in the current year than we told you 90 days ago.
Yeah,
that's right.
So that was an inflection point. I think they could have pre-announced CapEx. By the way, that's something they could have done. Or I mean, Meta and Amazon both really took it hard on their prior.
This was brilliant. This was brilliant.
Oh yeah, that's what it felt like. So I kind of feel like
your tweet, Jeff, is hilarious.
The robotaxi piece. So let me break down the robotaxi answer. So it is correct that Elon is not giving near-term guidance anymore, and we said, hey, why? That's an issue. But I mean, ideally, you would want him to give near-term guidance, and you'd want it to be accurate. That's the perfect case. So the next, I guess this not giving guidance is maybe the next best case versus giving guidance and missing continuously. But now it leaves questions of, okay, what did they find? Is this just, the answer was, hey, there's things that in the rewrite that will improve safety, but there's always going to be things that improve safety. The question is what threshold are we at in relative safety, and where did we think we were going to be, or did we find new edge cases that we just don't have a solution for yet? So that, I mean, I think there could be a couple more double clicks. And I recommend people on X just continue to ask the company very poignant, good questions about robotaxi expansion, because that was a clear change from the prior call. And then, but on the good news side, I did not have Optimus start of production in 90 days on my bingo card. Now, you can say start of production can mean anything. It's not that big of a deal. It actually is kind of a big deal. But let's see what it turns into. There was nothing really in the last several months. They've kind of gone silent on Optimus, and you heard Elon doubling down on that on the call of like, we're going to continue to stay silent basically till around the point of production.
Yeah.
So some point at the end of this quarter or the beginning of Q3, they will probably reveal Optimus. And I would say some point in Q3, maybe it's not July, maybe it's just some point in Q3, they will start production. And that is a different Tesla once there's a couple hundred or thousands of Optimus working at scale in their factory. I think that is a different company. But the robotaxi piece of it, I think, really needs to get cleaned up because it's not clear. And then finally, I do agree with the feedback that its delivery, there's so much good news. And even in these challenging things like hardware 3, I mean, it could be like the good news is we're going to take care of people with hardware 3 because this has been this big overhang and cloud on the company. Are they not going to take care of us? Is there going to be these class action lawsuits? The answer is there's a technical solution coming. It's going to be door A, or it's going to be this upgrade door. Sorry, it's going to be this voucher for a new vehicle purchase, or it's going to be this upgrade door. We're trying to figure out what the upgrade on existing vehicles looks like.
But Jeff, it was incumbent upon them to have that answer ready for this call.
Yeah.
It was incumbent on them. They didn't do it. They should have done it.
I think, the way I'd spin it is they're planting a huge garden with tons of different vegetables, and these seeds are just under the surface and they're about to sprout. There's so much goodness happening, but they didn't spin that at all. It's like it was all doom and gloom from their words. So I agree with everybody here. I think the questions could have been structured a little bit better and they could have been answered with a little more enthusiasm instead of putting the brakes on excitement. Because when I read that investor deck, I was like, wow, incredible. And then you get a dose of reality, a safety stall. That we go, the complexity, Alexander, you mentioned regarding the terafab. I know nothing about, what was it, AI3 or the Intel technology, 14A, A14. Got to dig into that.
Here's the reality.
Yeah.
They don't plan these calls.
No.
They do a really good job of printing up the quarterly report. What they could do is they could script and plan these calls because they know exactly what questions are going to be asked. They don't, because Elon doesn't have the interest in and the time to sit down with them to plan these calls, and he takes all these questions. So nothing's changed over the years. You could almost, trade, buy, before the drop, sell the moment the call starts, and that's it. I mean, you could just do it, but nothing's changed, and it's not going to change. Be ready for it.
And by the way, the stock is only down $3 from where it opened today. So it's not like it's catastrophic. And the way it typically works that I've seen over the years is Wall Street takes 3 days to digest the deck.
Yes, that's
Forget
true.
the call. And then when they start unraveling the deck, they'll see all the goodness, but that free cash flow is going to hurt.
Okay. I mean, go ahead.
No,
I mean,
I was just going to say,
free cash flow that's negative because of capex being a negative is the dumbest reasoning ever.
I agree.
7, 8, 9 billion every quarter, and that brings the free cash flow down. So what?
They're planting the garden.
I was saying last year that we're going to see negative cash flow this year and just expect it. In fact, I want them to increase it. Now they did 25, maybe next month, the quarter, they'll say I'm going to do 50.
And I mean,
I hope so.
Let's say that very much so. So we are at 25. Amazon is at 200. Alphabet is 175 to 185. Meta is at 135. Microsoft is 144 announced. Apple
not quite the
is
same,
around
though.
13. Nvidia has announced it, and then there's Tesla now at 25. if this shocks the people, well, be shocked.
I don't think the CapEx was, I hear you, and your numbers are spot on, but I don't think it's analogous with how much profits they're printing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this question, guys.
Or
Okay.
cash
It was
flow
a terrible.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
It was
Guys,
an absolutely terrible. Yeah.
I'm gonna
Thank you,
say
Larry.
good night.
Okay.
It's been
Yeah, we're going to shut
great.
this down very, very soon. I just want
Yeah,
one
go-
last question here, guys. This, okay,
1 minute.
it was a bad call. The stock is falling. They could have done a better job, but just be very objective about this. Did you hear anything that was absolutely bad for the company? Bad, very negative. That's what I'm
I
asking.
think he's really fed up
Okay.
with managing
It's-
Tesla
let's-
the way
let's
he
walk that
needs
through.
to, because it's difficult to run this as a public company with the goals he's setting, and especially now in this joint venture, while SpaceX is not a public company yet. I think he was really frustrated there. And I'm not saying it was bad, but I think it gives us an insight into how much frustration this generates.
Okay. Maybe Terrafab's a little, sounds like it's not as fast as he wants it to be. Because
No, not as easy to structure. He feels like he
Yeah.
has to fit it now into legal boxes and attribution and
Well,
stuff that
let's
just
go through it
shouldn't
though.
even exist.
The most important thing is Robotaxi and Optimus. Was there something bad about Robotaxi that we heard? That
Yes.
Just okay. Let's talk about it.
Yeah, they pulled near-term guidance, or he was asked straight up about robotaxi deployment, volume deployment, and they basically pulled that guidance and said that there are edge cases and safety issues that they need to solve with architecture changes and software. And once those are built and tested internally and released, then they would scale to greater heights. So, I mean, that's always been, they've talked about new architectures in the future, but in the prior quarter was doubling robotaxis every month, starting from about 200, 250 in that month. And now there's no guidance. And now it's, hey, we need to do more things before we actually get to that point that we were talking about in January of prior. So that's negative. At the same time,
Except that he did say it depends on your definition of what scale means. What is scale? So I don't know if people got confused when
they
he
don't have
said
enough cars in Austin to have a real service.
But so when he says we don't, when he was talking about that, he was referring to like global scale. But some people are
How do you
interpreting
know?
to say, well, that was a confusion, because he goes, depends on what definition of scale is. Now you guys might be saying, well, that means Austin's going to stay at 1 car or 20 cars, not 1,000, 2,000
If
cars.
you sit there and say
Not sure
it
yet.
depends on your definition, and then you don't follow it up with what I mean by scale, that's a
It's a
problem.
But I think when you listen to how he said it, when he said it, he was referring to like global rollout,
I have to
not
listen to it
that we
again,
have to
Herbert.
wait. Yeah, I agree.
Bottom
We have to
line
listen
is-
to it again. Yeah.
Bottom line is we don't know, and he didn't specify, and so he didn't prep. He didn't have the answer. And I'm not sure that is true that they don't have the answer. It's just he didn't know what the answer was at that moment, and he didn't give us the answer. So
Yeah.
the call was bad because he walked into the room because he was in some other project dealing with it, and he doesn't accord much value to the current share price. That's the bottom line.
Here's what I thought was bad, Herbert, and it's going to piggyback off what Jeff said. It's one, you created more questions that leave more uncertainty for everybody. And if you're going to sit there and say, hey, like they essentially pled the fifth is what they did. Said, well, there's always, if I know there's another safer version, whatever. It's like, that's like your get out of jail free card, because you can play that card forever. So then we're never going to get FSD, because you can always have another version that's going to be safer, because you're always going to learn more. It's always going to get better. So you can play that card all day. He sat there and he made his point about the recursive loop, which I've actually talked about that, right? That's a real problem that happened. It's not a safety problem. It's just, it lacks the attention. It lacks a memory bandwidth to remember, hey, this road is closed, or hey, there's a parade going here, or hey, there's construction here. That's all it is. But it's on and on. The cogent thing would have been to say, we think that we will have that part of the puzzle solved in the next few months, next month or whatever, but it's not going to slow down the pace of us rolling out, as you can see by Dallas and Houston. Like that builds confidence while you're explaining everything. It's just, that's what's bad about it. And I think it's bad too, because this creates less confidence in the software. And when you create less confidence in the software, that means less people using it potentially, which means less lives potentially saved. And it goes on and on. Like, it's just, I want more people to use it because I think that this is the most important AI project in the world. I don't think there will be another one that's more important than this. So to me, that's what I care about. And that's what I think they made a big mistake on. They created more.
And two hidden things that I think are very important too, and then we got to wrap. Optimus is expected to be useful outside Tesla starting 2027. That was very positive. And yes, he did confirm 14.3 is the last piece of the puzzle. But there's always going to be improvements and enhancements available. But hearing that regarding 14.3, I thought for me that was huge. And the fact that, again, AI4 is sufficient to run a car, not Optimus. They are very big things that are buried in there that have huge value, but people don't appreciate. Anywho.
Okay.
Look, he had great news and he buried it in this kind of...
Now let me just put out, if you wanted to get to June, July for this announcement of the merger, that I'm the only one to defend so early, but here we are, and you didn't want Tesla stock price very high, that is the call you would have done, because that allows Tesla to increase with this implicit premium to where SpaceX is. And with SpaceX, we are only hearing the best news ever. And higher SpaceX is, and the longer Tesla stays compressed in my scenario, and I may be wrong, and you can then all shoot on me, and then I have to eat my crown the same way that Farzad has to eat his steering wheel. But if I'm not wrong, it will be that we have this implicit premium to bring us in line with the SpaceX merger of equals. And then all the good news come, and the good news on one side pull up the other side, and the good news on the other side pull up the other side. So why would you throw now as many good news as you have there? You may actually damp everybody and be very, very cautious and very, very, life is difficult, and these poor hardware 3 guys.
It's not his style to play that game, so I don't
agree. He's not as intentional as that. Anyway, guys, I'm going to bid you all farewell.
We'll close it down as well.
It was real.
Thank you, everybody.
Friend.
Appreciate it all
very much.
Thank you, Herbert.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, gang.